What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining us on Tuesday night. It is Tuesday Night Titans, episode 102 for your Tuesday, July 8th, 2025. I am your host, JD from New York. As always, being joined live by the one and the only, the man who will be in the shadow of Arlington on Friday. And I don't know if Texas is big enough for him. The Solid Monster. What's going on, brother?
It's going to be 93 degrees in Arlington, Texas. I can't wait. Actually, it'll be a little like 20 minutes outside of Arlington. But nonetheless, it'll be very hot in Texas this weekend. Very hot and muggy, I'm told. I'm not really looking forward to that.
I mean, we have hot and muggy today.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, if I'm going to leave New York, I would rather go to a place where it's not hot and muggy. So, this is not my idea of a getaway from New York. So,
No.
The good thing, though, if you're going to All In this weekend, I am 99.9% sure that roof is going to be closed. So you won't have to worry about watching the show outdoors, at least.
I would hope that it's indoors.
It's got to be.
And the roof is closed, yes.
Yeah, no, it's can you imagine like 93 and sticky and sitting next to like all of these wrestling fans all bunched in together like that for 6.5 hours? That sounds like a nightmare scenario.
No, I don't want to ever be in a situation where I am in that situation. No.
Yes, that sounds like an absolute nightmare. So
I don't know, man. What do you think the bugs are down there, man? I'm not a big bug guy. You better watch out for the mosquitoes down there.
Yeah, no, I'm not a bug guy either. That's why Florida, like, I couldn't do it. A lot of New Yorkers moved to Florida. No, not this guy. Not this guy.
No bugs here. But we'll see what happens on Friday. Jason's going to be in Texas for House of Glory. They have a show down there, and we have a big weekend coming up as well. So it is going to be more busy for Jason than it is me because he's got a little bit extra to do. But what a weekend it is going to be, man. We have content overload this weekend. We have 3 WWE shows. I'm not even including SmackDown in that. 4 WWE shows over the course of 3 days this coming weekend. We got All in Texas happening on Saturday afternoon. An NXT show that's happening at the same time as All in Texas, as WWE presents the Great American Bash. We will definitely go over everything you guys need, man. We're going to give you an itinerary of what's coming up, and we're going to check off all those boxes tonight on TNT. So we will get you ready for this weekend's festivities and whatever other news that we have during the week, which honestly, as we are both content creators, it's been very slim as far as the news is concerned. So I'm not really complaining. But if you guys get a more abbreviated show tonight, that is the reason why. I'm going to try and navigate us the best that we can. I had a couple people tell me, there's no news this week, man. You're going to go 4 hours? I'm like, I hope not. I don't think we know how to do anything but go 4 hours on this fucking show. But
seems like it, right? It feels that way.
But you guys love it, and we appreciate it. And the support's been unbelievable on Tuesday night. So thank you guys very much. We got a lot of discussions. Going to be a lot of great discussion tonight. And we're going to get right into it. You guys know the deal. Follow us on social media at JD from NY206, at Solid Monster. Everything you guys need is linked in the description down below, as well as on the screen right now, as you see in the layout. Make sure you guys go hit that thumbs up. We have a goal of 1,000 likes. That is the goal. Hopefully, it is busy enough that we attain that goal because we've hit it basically every single week since we've been together on this show. So please go and do that. Super chats are open. It's the best way to support what Jason and I do here on Tuesday nights. We will read all of your questions, comments, and concerns at the end of the show. And if you guys are watching and have reached this point, leave a comment as well, because the thumbs up and the comments help us out a long way in the YouTube algorithm. All right, man. Let's get the show on the road. I'm going to leave it to you as always. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I was actually going to ask you, because you mentioned last week that you were planning on seeing Jurassic World.
I did.
And I don't think I got your thoughts on it. So did you see it? And if so, what were your thoughts?
I did see it. I went on Thursday, and I actually think it is the third best in the franchise.
Really?
Yes.
I was seeing very mixed reviews, so I wasn't sure what your opinion was going to be. It's been very hit or miss from what I've seen.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think people were expecting it to be, because I was actually surprised when the end credits rolled. I was surprised to see Steven Spielberg executive produce the movie. I didn't think he was a part of the franchise anymore. So I don't know when he came back on board. I think there was a little bit where he just kind of stepped away and let other people do what they had to do with it. But it did give us some nice throwbacks to the original movie. And the T-Rex scene in the movie, I won't give away any spoilers. I do think it was the third best T-Rex scene that we've gotten in all of the Jurassic Park movies we got so far. And it's basically mutant dinosaurs. It kind of dipped into the horror realm a little bit. I got a little, obviously original Jurassic Park vibe from it. I got a little alien vibe from it as well as it pertains to the main killer dinosaur in the movie. It almost looked like a fucking alien. But I enjoyed it. I thought for 2 hours, I thought it's well worth your money.
And was the theater packed when you went to go see it?
The movie theater in town is very old, so it was 5 people.
Hey, you know what? That's a great movie-going experience. I don't mind that. That's great.
Yes, I don't go anywhere else but the one in town, man. There's only 5 people when I went.
I feel like if I went, I would try to go at like 11 o'clock in the morning or something like that instead of going at night. Just it's more enjoyable that way. All right, well, that's interesting. Yeah, you're not the first person I've heard mention the sort of the dip into the horror genre.
Yeah.
It felt more, not that the whole film is a horror film, but like it had those elements to it where a lot of the recent sequels didn't.
Yeah, I honestly think with Spielberg involved, he tried to kind of relive some of the glory days. Obviously, that's never going to happen. But the opening dinosaur scene where they finally, get introduced, or we finally get introduced to the first dinosaur. It's in the water. It actually had a lot of Jaws similarities, and obviously Spielberg with Jaws, obviously my favorite movie of all time.
Well, 50-year anniversary.
Yeah, you got some Jaws vibes in there too. I don't know, man. If you want to go see it, I would. For me to you, I would give it a shot. Honestly.
All right. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. It takes a lot for me to actually go to the movies these days. It has to be like a movie I really want to see, or it's got like incredible word of mouth.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, I'll pay the toll for the ticket and everything that goes into it. But because everything now is just so easily accessible, if you just wait, a few extra weeks, and then you can just watch it at home. So it's like, it's got to be a movie I really want. Like I went to go see the Iron Claw, when that came out, and there might be certain movies like that, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll go watch this one.
It's either that or Superman.
I was never a Superman guy.
Me neither.
I'm a Batman guy. So
yes,
but yeah, I'm hearing
Jaws
a lot of
is 50 years old, Jamie. Yes, Jaws is 50 years old. Believe it or not. Yeah,
1975.
It's crazy.
Yeah, you were only 10 years old in 1975 when Jaws came out.
Yes,
you were a young buck.
Yes, I was around as soon as Black Sabbath did the scene, man. I was right there.
Yeah. There you were.
Anyway, man, let's get this show on the road. I'll leave it up to you. I know we got a busy wrestling weekend and not much news, but where do you want to go? What do you want to talk about?
Well, let's dive into Raw from last night, since that's still kind of fresh on the mind. We are heading into a busy weekend. I saw maybe more divided opinion about the show than I was expecting. I enjoyed the show last night. I didn't think it was, the greatest Raw of the year or anything like that, but I enjoyed it a hell of a lot more than I did that show on Friday. That I can tell you. I don't know about you, but I thought that SmackDown show on Friday was just a complete bore fest. I was not a fan of that show at all.
Oh, you mean 2 hours didn't help alleviate the terrible SmackDown?
Well, I was very happy to see SmackDown back to 2 hours after lots of rumors and, will they, won't they? Love the fact that SmackDown is 2 hours, but I made it very clear in the lead up to that. 2 hours itself does not a great show make. You still have to put the effort in to at least give people an entertaining show. So they still have some work to do. But yes, I'm very happy that SmackDown is back to 2 hours, just for the record. And that is permanent. That is going to be every week now, going forward. Last night, though, I like the story they told with Seth's group, now you tell me, it sounded to me like they might have a name finally.
Yeah, I was doing some stuff around the house, and I put your Raw review on Spotify while I was cleaning the house, and I heard you mention that you think that their name is now the Empire because Paul Heyman mentioned the Empire twice in his promo. Now, I didn't really take that when I did my post show. I didn't really take that as like any sort of direction that we may be going in that way for their name. because I know he's mentioned the Vanguard at one point several weeks ago, which is a terrible name.
It's a terrible name.
Yeah, but I don't know why they don't have a name right now. But like you said, if they are the Empire, I do think it's it's almost too simple of a name, but I don't really mind it. I don't know what I'm looking for as far as a name, and I don't really know why they haven't given them a name yet, 4 months after they kind of put them together.
I know what I'm not looking for. I'm not looking for the Vanguard. So I'm perfectly happy if they were going to call themselves the Empire, because I know he was using the Empire Strikes Back analogy, but he said it multiple times. So it made me think that maybe that could be the name potentially. Of course, the Seth Riders would be just fantastic, but they're not going to go with that. So I'll call them the Empire for now. Maybe that's not their name, but we'll call them that. And the story they told was very simple, where they were targeting 3 of the top baby faces on the show, and they took them out one by one. You know, Penta in the main event, which I thought was great. It was a great main event last night. Very happy to see Penta in that spot, and he was super over. Bronson Reed taking out Jey Uso, and then you had Braun Breaker doing the same with Sami Zayn.
You mean the DQ on Jey Uso?
I'm glad you brought that up.
Listen, man, I listened to your show last night, and I said, I thought it was a DQ, but then you apparently were paying attention to the fucking tickers on the show, which I never do, and they labeled it a no contest.
They labeled it a no contest, and I have gone back now to WWE.com. So either they knew they fucked up, or maybe they heard the criticism. Maybe I wasn't the only one who brought it up. I don't know. But on WWE.com, it does say disqualification now.
Okay, good.
But there it was on the bottom of the screen last night when they had the ticker with the results during the main event, and it said Jey Uso and Bronson Reed went to a no contest. And I'm like literally sitting here, and I'm just thinking to myself, what exactly does it take to get disqualified in WWE these days if they call that a no contest, when this man took an office chair and literally yeeted it into the yeet man's head, and that's a no con? It just blew me away. Like, I just couldn't understand it. So I'm happy to at least see them clarifying it and calling it a DQ now, which is what it was. But so yes, even though Bronson Reed technically lost the match, the whole point was that he squashed him twice when the match was over. By the way, I thought amazing timing having a video promo from LA Knight boasting about the fact that he took 3 tsunami splashes and came back a week later, immediately after a segment where Bronson Reed gave 2 tsunami splashes to Jey Uso, and we're supposed to think that that's some kind of big deal. So I guess Jey Uso will be back on TV next week like nothing happened, I suppose. But that aside, it was a simple story they told. Could they have done a better job with it? Sure. I mean, if you think about it, look at what they did, right? Braun Breaker, this indestructible badass. And the only reason he beat Sami Zayn, you could argue, is because Karrion Kross kind of did most of the work for him before the match. Bronson Reed lost, technically, to Jey Uso. Needed to use a chair to get out of the match. Seth Rollins had to use a low blow to beat Penta in the main event. Not exactly what you would call a dominant heel faction, but nonetheless, I could see what they were going for, and it had to happen. And I would imagine you feel the same way when it comes to them giving more mic time to Seth's henchmen, which we have not gotten up until last night.
Yeah, I said basically the same thing on my post show last night, and it's the thing I let off with last night, because I know a lot of people were excited about this group, and then they really haven't gone anywhere. Seth won Money in the Bank. We're just waiting for that next piece to fall when he wins the World Championship. But you got Braun Breaker barking in the background, and you got Bronson Reed wearing, they're both wearing black suits. They look like men in black. Bronson Reed hasn't said a fucking word, and Braun Breaker just starts barking, and Rollins is just the centerpiece, cutting all the promos, while the other 2 guys who can speak for themselves have not spoken for themselves up until last night. So I'm glad that they actually, I don't know, I don't want to give them the benefit of the doubt because the television shows have been so lazy lately, but they have had to heard some criticisms coming out of the last couple of weeks, and they actually made some changes to the presentation of this group by letting Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed speak. Rollins didn't really get any words in last night outside of welcoming us to Raw.
That was great.
Paul Heyman spoke. He spoke in Spanish, which was a great touch because Rollins was wrestling Penta. And I love the fact that they threaded this group throughout the show going after the people that have gotten in their way, because Rollins said to Sammy before this group was even a thing, if you get in my way, you will pay the consequences. And that was actually the first time in several weeks that we finally saw that all kind of come into play. I like the fact that they look somewhat dominant. I haven't really felt like this group was a threat or has been a threat to Monday Night Raw. Last night, between me and you, Jason, I felt like last night was the first time they actually felt like somewhat of a threat to Monday night. I don't know what they're going to feel like when Seth wins the World Championship or when he is going to win the World Championship, but I guess you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is something they had to do if they're going to establish these guys as the top heel faction in the company, which is basically what they are. So, yeah, they did what they had to do in that regard. The other thing that struck me also about last night was Karrion Kross. And, we've seen him get really good reactions on some weeks when he'll pop up backstage. And we saw that multiple times last night. It was very noticeable when he attacked Sami Zayn, when you had, audible chants from the crowd of "We want Kross." And then later on, I don't know if you saw the segment during commercial when he was interviewed up in the balcony by Jackie, but they show him and he's there with Scarlett. He got a monster pop.
He did.
Just when they showed him. And then I love how he closes the segment by making out with Scarlett as they're coming back from commercial. So this guy, he knows what's going on. He can see it. He can feel it. You probably saw the video from outside the venue when the show was over. He's being mobbed by fans. There's something going on, with Karrion Kross. And I just hope they can continue to, focus on him, which they've been doing the last few weeks, certainly since we saw Night of Champions. And then since then, I was worried it might be a one and done. But it's been consistent now, several weeks of TV time for him. And he is somebody who I think if you give him the ball to run with, he'll do it. He's got this level of support that I've not heard, his entire time with WWE, NXT. So there's something special going on there. And again, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, Kevin Castle, just because every time I see Kross, he's the first person I think of.
Yeah, likewise.
Because I know he was such a huge fan of his and interacted with him, and he'd be over the moon right now, seeing Kross get the kind of reactions that he's getting.
Yeah, one of the last conversations that me and Kevin had was about Kross, and I don't know what Kross did in the beginning of the year, but I told Kev that this is his breakout year, and it certainly looks like that is the case, and I'm very happy to see that happen for him. Last night there was, I don't know if you picked up on it, Braun Breaker asked everybody in the opening segment, why does everybody cheer for Sami Zayn? He's a loser. He doesn't go to the gym. He's not athletic. And yet, everybody's cheering for Sami Zayn over Braun Breaker. And then we get Kross attacking him with a lead pipe. And everyone's chanting, we want Kross, while Sami Zayn is fucking writhing in pain with his ribs taped last night. It's like, where do you guys want to go with this, man? It's like one moment you're cheering him and the next minute you're fucking cheering Kross, beating the shit out of him. So it's like, I don't know. I just found that to be kind of funny.
Well, we see that also with, we saw that with Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed, when he gave him the 6 tsunamis, one more time. And Seth is supposed to be a babyface. Yeah. But, the fans get all wrapped up in it and they just want to see more and more violence. And, but that's why they love Braun Breaker, because he's this badass dude who goes out there and, cuts people in half with these spears. So no matter what you do with him, there's always going to be a segment of the crowd that wants to bark and they want to cheer for him. It is a little weird, though. Rollins is still coming out to that music. He's still milking, people singing his song, and he's doing his catchphrases. And
well, I don't know if you've seen the report. I think it was a couple of weeks ago that WWE potentially was planning on having a real musical artist write a new theme song for Rollins because they wanted to kind of move away from the people singing his song.
I saw that. I don't know what the status of that is. I don't know if that's legit. I don't know if something is in the works and it just hasn't been finalized yet. But I think it's needed. If you want him to be your top heel, it's just a weird thing to encourage. When he comes out there on TV every week, it's like when Hall and Nash were coming out with the NWO and they were the cool heels. I don't know if that's the vibe they're going for here, but. If you want him to be your top heel, that's just something you shouldn't be doing. Yeah,
it's funny. I remember when Bobby Roode got called up to the main roster and Vince heard his theme song and turned him into a baby face. Like it's, for some reason it works for others and then for others it doesn't. In this case, it works against Rollins because you don't want him, coming out with people singing his song. But Bobby Roode, it did sound like a babyface theme, but he was just a fucking heel and he never really went anywhere as a babyface. So it's like it had nothing to do with the theme music.
No, No. He was miscast. I mean, he should have been a heel, and I mean, unfortunately, he got hurt, and that was the end of his run. But again, so what they did with the Rollins crew, it made sense, and I thought we got a great main event out of it. Again, I really enjoyed that main event. And then we had the other match, which is coming up on Saturday, and we had one last bit of promotion for, which was Goldberg, who is going to be having his retirement match. But I did point out, when I did my review, they had a little fact that they put on screen coming out of commercial, and Michael Cole said that it could potentially be the final match of Goldberg's career, leaving open the possibility that, he might go there on Saturday and actually win the world championship. So, Gunther came out. We haven't seen Goldberg on TV since he first showed up. I didn't know if he was going to be there last night or not, but there he was. He showed up in his red Chevelle and came out to the ring, and he was walking a little bit better than he did the last time. And he confronts Gunther and gets up in his face and says, "Hey, why don't we do it now?" And Gunther goes to throw a punch, and Goldberg blocks it and throws one of his own. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm looking at Goldberg, and it looks like he's struggling for breath. And I said, wow. And he goes for a spear, and Gunther rolls out of the ring. And I said, if he's that winded after throwing one punch, they better keep this match awfully tight on Saturday, because otherwise there's going to be a real problem, and Gunther's going to have some heavy lifting to do.
Yeah, I said that same thing on social media last night. I'm like, this guy got fucking winded after throwing one right hand, and people were telling me Goldberg has always been intense, JD. I'm like, he's 58 years old and he's out of breath in fucking 30 seconds. What do you want me to say?
Well, that's the whole thing. I mean, he was always very intense, but there's a difference between being that intense when you're playing football in the NFL or when you're, in WCW in 1998 and still trying to be that intense when you're 58 and you're not doing this week to week. Like, it's going to take a lot out of you. So we kind of saw an example of that last night. And look, we'll talk about the match when we do the Saturday night's main event rundown. There's a way to do it in a way where Goldberg, hopefully for his sake, doesn't go out there and embarrass himself. The whole reason this is even happening, and the reason he was so vocal about wanting a retirement match in the first place, is because he hated how that match with Roman Reigns went, which was the last match he had in Saudi just 3 years ago now. And it was such a last minute thing. He had COVID at the time, or he was recovering from COVID, whatever it was. And I don't remember it being a very long match or a very good match. He just hated that being his send-off. So he just wants to go out in a way that he can be happy with. So for his sake, and for everyone watching the show, for their sake, I hope he can get that. But I also hope they realize that there's a very particular way this match, I think, needs to be formatted and needs to go down. And it does not need to be a terribly long match at all. You talk about the commercials on the last episode of Saturday Night's Main Event.
Awful.
Just how awful it was. I don't see any reason why after entrances and everything, you take a break, you come back, you get the whole match in one segment. Like, there's no need to even have a commercial break during this match.
If John Cena and R-Truth went through no commercial breaks, then this should not be any different. Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no reason for it.
No.
I'm just saying, because they might want to milk it. If this is the main event and it's his retirement match and they want to maximize viewership, maybe they do it in a way where they're stalling and they want to get a break in there. I could see them doing that, but there is no need for there to be any breaks in the middle of this match. That's how short this thing needs to be.
Well, the segment last night wasn't that bad. It was very quick. No. It was innocent. Rhode Island brought the heat last night. I love the Rhode Island crowd. The last few times WWE's been there, it's been tremendous. They were loud last night. They chanted "Holy shit" as these guys were staring at each other in the ring. So,
Goldberg got a great reaction.
Yeah. Rhode Island's a great crowd. I mean, I'll never forget 2014 with Bryan and Wyatt inside the steel cage. I mean, that's just one of the greatest moments in Raw history. But that was the Rhode Island crowd. They brought it last night, chanting "Holy shit." Goldberg got a very good reaction, like Jason said. And we'll definitely talk about that and how the match should be structured because right now, Saturday night's main event is right now announced 3 matches. That's all there is.
That's it. Yeah, I was waiting last night to see, okay, what's this 4th match going to be? He's got to be at least 4. And they announced nothing. And the only thing I could think of is, when you look at that Evolution card, which is already full, they already have 7 matches, but there's only one title missing from that show, which is the women's U.S. title. So if they wanted to have a women's match, that would be the one they could just kind of stick it on there. We would find out on Friday. Maybe they do Julia and Zelina Vega in a rematch.
At that point, don't even bother.
Well, but maybe they want the buffer, to be on the show. I'm just saying, I can't see them going into this with just 3 matches. I mean, do you honestly think they won't add some kind of segment in addition to the 3 match? Even if it's not a match, maybe it's a contract signing for Sunday or something. I mean, maybe they got to add something.
Maybe Cody and Cena. I don't know, but Julia is the name I thought of as well. I said just put her in the Battle Royal and spare us whatever you're going to do on Saturday night, but we'll definitely get into that. Raw was a very good show last night, probably one of the better Raws in the last several weeks or so. The shows have been just very formulaic and very safe, very straightforward. There's no real excitement coming off Raw or SmackDown for that matter as we go into this big weekend for WWE. The ladies on Monday Night Raw last night, we did get, Jason, the reunion of the Kabuki Warriors. That's Asuka and Kairi Sane. And they are now officially the 4th team that will be vying for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships in that Fatal 4. It will be the Kabuki Warriors, and we'll talk about it when we get to Evolution. Kabuki Warriors, Judgment Day, that's Roxanne and Raquel, against Alexa and Charlotte, against Sol Ruca and Zarya. Now, I said last night that, I'm not surprised. That they're definitely a more star-studded team than what I had predicted in Natty and Maxine Dupree, but I also said, and I'm not sure if this is a hot take to some listening, because I know the Kabuki Warriors have their portion of fans that love them, but I don't think that we need the Kabuki Warriors as a solid tag team from this point on. Asuka is 43 years old. She's not getting any younger. I'd like to see Asuka just kind of go on a run on her own. I'd like to see Kairi go on a run on her own. What did you make of the group, and do you think that this is a one-time only thing for both Asuka and Kairi?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a one-time only thing. I mean, not that we won't see them together again at some point. I don't see this as being, they're back together permanently. So I think they needed a team that had some name recognition, that had more name recognition than Maxine and Natty would, and they decided to go with them. So I don't think it's going to be a permanent arrangement or anything like that. I'd like to see Asuka, even more so than Kairi, get a real, solid singles run because she was gone for so long. I feel like she's overdue for something like that. I'm just wondering, what did Sol Ruca and Zarya do to earn their way into this match? Like, we literally had a qualifying match on SmackDown Friday, so that's how Charlotte and Alexa got in. What did Sol Ruca and Zarya do?
They didn't do anything. Sol Ruca's the North American champion, so she just gets in by default because she's the champion.
She is. Actually, they lost their last match together as a team. So it's
who else is there?
Well, no, I figured it was going to be them, and if not them, Fatal Influence. I'm just wondering though, why does one team need to qualify and the other one doesn't?
I don't know. That's just how lazy the creative is. Imagine Sol Ruca and Zarya getting a Monday Night Raw appearance and getting a qualifying match. Well,
you could have even done something tonight on NXT to fill the final spot.
I don't know. They're there. They were the ones I think everybody wanted to see there. So
yeah, I mean, they were again. It was either them or Fatal Influence. I mean, who else would it be from NXT?
Well, would you expect anything more, bro? I mean, they had Tiffany and fucking Io choose their opponents. It's like that's the type of show we're dealing with on Sunday.
Yes. Well, look, Shawn Michaels just went through a whole tournament to crown a number 1 contender for the NXT Women's Championship, and on Raw and SmackDown, they just let them pick their opponents. This guy put a whole Evolution Eliminator tournament together to crown Jordan Grace as the number 1 contender.
I don't know. What's going on with Triple H? Is he out to lunch? Does he care anymore?
I think he's been out to lunch for a while.
I don't know.
The longest lunch break I've ever seen.
Kairi and Asuka are back together. We'll definitely get into what I said something last night that Jason might not agree with. We'll see what happens, but we'll talk about the preview and predictions a little bit later. The other big thing that happened on the show, I mean, I won't spend too much time on this because we'll talk about it when we do the predictions, but Triple Threat was announced for the women's IC title. It's Becky, Bayley, and Lyra. We will definitely talk about that. I think that's going to be a very good match, just seeing what we saw with Becky and Lyra the last 3 times that they wrestled. And then we got El Grande Americano. He's back on the show. He obviously grew couple of inches taller.
He had a growth spurt.
He's a little slimmer, a little taller. He was very
lasered his back, his neck tattoo off. Too.
He did, and he was moving around in there like Grande Americano. What did you think of? Like, we all know who he is. What did you think of this?
Chad Gable.
Sure. What did you think of the reintroduction of Grande Americano? Do you have any creative idea where they're going with this and why this is what they've kind of decided upon for Mr. Kaiser here?
Well, it's not like they had anything else for Mr. Kaiser to do. So that's number one. Clearly, they didn't have anything for him to do. I think they like the character, and Chad's going to be out a while. You have shoulder surgery. You're not going to be back in 2 months. And I think they just wanted to keep the character going because it is a masked character that's played up for comedy. You could just plug somebody else into that spot. And Kaiser was sort of the guy that they looked at and said, well, we're not doing anything with him at the moment. And it could be kind of funny because he's taller than Gable and he doesn't have the tattoo. And, we'll play it up as haha. And that way we can keep doing the Americano thing. Are they going to keep it going, though, until Chad Gable comes back? I don't know how long he's going to be out for. Like, if he's out for 6 months, are they going to have Ludwig Kaiser play this character for 6 months on TV? I just think they're going to run this into the ground after a while. I wonder, though, if the play is let's keep it going until Gable is ready to come back, and then they could do some stuff where they kind of go back and forth maybe between the gimmick. And I don't know. I don't know what the end game is. I don't know if they have an end game. I think they just get a kick out of it. And they said, well, we have somebody we can plug into the role who's not being used at the moment.
I don't know what it is, but I'm looking on shop WWE.com here, and the Grande Americano masks are still sold out. So clearly people are into El Grande Americano.
Well, you may have just answered your own question then. It could just be a matter of, they hit on something with this that they can make some money off of, and they're not ready to kind of turn the faucet off yet. They just want to keep the water flowing as long as they can. So I just don't know what the end goal is here. I don't know where this goes. I don't even know. Did he inherit the speed title? I assume El Grande Americano is still the speed champion then.
I mean, that's what I would do if I was them.
Okay. I mean, I don't recall reading anything about that title being vacated. So I assume it's just him defending it now.
Well, you can see as a fan watching the show how good Kaiser was as Ludwig Kaiser. He was wrestling Sheamus and Pete Dunne, and he probably would have been setting himself up for an Intercontinental Championship. He was Gunther's right-hand man. Him and Vinci were a great fucking tag team in Imperium. I mean, you just see the talent that's there, and now he's kind of settled into this masked character now as El Grande Americano. And he's not the only one in that mid-card on WWE Raw. You got him. You got Tyler Bate, who's come out and saying, I'm not injured, guys. I'm just kind of waiting. Pete Dunne, I think him and his wife just had a child, so he has a reason to be out, but he's someone that I want to see get a major push as well, especially for that mid-card title. I mean, they got a great middle of the card there, and it seemingly feels like Triple H doesn't know what the fuck he's doing with any of them. So I don't know. It's just a very lazy way of treating your talent. That's why people are frustrated. I don't know. We'll see. We got that on the show, and that was basically all that happened on Monday Night Raw. Very, very, very straightforward show. Saturday night's main event. Like Jason said, we got 3 matches. We got LA Knight versus Seth Rollins, which we got LA Knight closing the show last night as he gave Rollins a BFT. And then we got, obviously, Goldberg and Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. And the other match, believe it or not, is the return of Drew McIntyre, which was probably the best thing that happened on Friday night, which was a taped show on 4th of July. McIntyre's back. The TV is better with him back on it. And he's wrestling Randy Orton one-on-one. So that is right now your Saturday night's main event card. And a 4th match, it could be Julia. Maybe we get Black versus Priest. Maybe a rematch with Black and R-Truth. I don't know where they go. There's a couple of things that they could do. Maybe a tag team title match on Saturday with the Wyatts, or a multi-man tag team match with one of those teams. I don't know.
You think they're going to have a tag team title match on anything other than SmackDown?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
It seems to be that's just the way it is now. Most of these tag team title matches are relegated to Raw and SmackDown. I mean, when was the last time? How often this year have the tag titles on either show outside of WrestleMania been defended on a PLE? I don't have it in front of me, but like, if you had a guess, like, how many times have those titles been defended on a PLE?
DIY defended against the Machine Guns at the Royal Rumble.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
That's
Have we had a tag team title match on any of the Saturday night's main events that we've had since December?
We have not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
as history shows us, I am incorrect.
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty much. Yes.
I'm trying to remain hopeful here. I don't know what the fourth match will be. These shows have had minimum 4 matches. One of them's had 5 matches, but.
Well, here's my question. Which match do you think will be the Jesse Ventura match where he goes off on the referee's awful officiating?
I think he calls the main event. I think he calls Gunther and Goldberg.
It'll be quick.
Yeah.
Boy, what a trip. Jesse the Body Ventura calling a Goldberg match in 2025. Like, what a weird thing.
Yeah, it is very weird now that you put it into words. Yeah.
Very weird. I just hope, like, Jesse's a straight shooter. So if you're going to have him call the main event, if Goldberg looks anything other than stellar, I hope he calls him out on it. You know, you do run that risk. He might be a little too honest.
Can you imagine Goldberg being blown up in 60 seconds and Jesse calling that out?
Yes, I can. That's what makes it so appealing to me. I would love to hear him just speak his mind, you know, right off the cuff.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it, but I won't be watching Saturday night's main event live. I'll be live here with you guys on my channel after All In, and so will Jason for his channel. But let's run through these quick predictions here, Jason. Get Saturday night's main event off the menu tonight. McIntyre and Orton. I'm glad McIntyre is back. I think he fits in to that world championship title picture after we decide who wins and who walks away with the WWE title with Cody and John Cena. I can't really see McIntyre coming back and immediately going right back to a loss, because the last time we saw him on Saturday night's main event, he lost to Damian Priest inside a steel cage. Orton, I do feel, will lose, and this will further drive Orton into madness, is a good word to use, as he chases the WWE Championship, and this will lead to his heel turn. I'm going with Drew McIntyre winning because, honestly, nothing else makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, this is a match where neither man can really afford to lose. I mean, you mentioned that McIntyre lost the cage match the last time we saw him.
Yeah.
When was the last time Randy Orton, I mean, other than Joe Hendry at WrestleMania, I mean, he seems to lose quite a few matches also on these PLEs.
Yeah.
He just lost to Cody, you know, in the finals of the King of the Ring. So neither man can really afford a loss, but at the same time, it's Randy Orton and it's Drew McIntyre. So, I mean, if they lose, who gives a shit? There's still Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
McIntyre just came back, so yeah, I'm going with Drew McIntyre for the win. I don't see him coming back just to lose.
Do you see McIntyre factoring into a Cody feud after SummerSlam?
I don't know if Cody's going to be around after SummerSlam. Apparently, he may be doing some filming coming out of SummerSlam.
Yeah,
so,
we got that here. If you guys don't know, Roman Reigns has been cast as Akuma for the new Street Fighter movie that will also include 50 Cent, who's playing Balrog, and Cody apparently is playing Guile in the movie. Now we don't know A, Cody's acting skills, B, how long Cody's going to be out and what type of role Guile plays in the movie. He could have a small role. He could not have a small role. But Liv Morgan went to Japan for 3 weeks, at most 4 weeks, filmed that movie, and she was back on TV. Now, if Cody wins the WWE Championship, is it a good thing to take the new WWE Champion off of TV for 4 weeks while SmackDown has no champion? So that's the only thing holding me up. So I guess you could look at it as kind of an unpredictable element going into SummerSlam.
I mean, it's not like John Cena's on TV every week, so I mean, it wouldn't really be all that different. You could still bring him back for Clash in Paris if you have to.
Sure, and we lived through the Roman Reigns era where he barely made appearances. So.
Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar. I mean, let's not pretend that we haven't had this, even worse in the past. Roman Reigns, by the way, we still haven't seen him since WrestleMania. So I still think he'll be back in time for SummerSlam, but maybe he'll be back at SummerSlam. Maybe he's not even going to have a match at SummerSlam. I just find it hard to believe you got 2 nights of SummerSlam. Why wouldn't you want Roman in a match on that show? And I think we'll get him back because if you remember, we didn't mention this before, but Paul Heyman in his promo last night, he made a comment about Roman Reigns. And he said that Roman Reigns doesn't have the balls to, stand up to us. It was something along those lines. So that makes me think, okay, he'll be back in the next week or two. They'll probably set something up for him on that show. I'm just wondering, do you think we get Cody Roman 3 in the movie?
I think so.
Yeah?
I think the director of the movie can't help himself at that point. Yeah.
So who wins, Guile or Akuma?
Akuma. Akuma was one of my favorite characters outside of Ryu in Street Fighter.
See, I'm not really that familiar with Akuma. I never really played too much as him. Like Guile, I know.
He was basically a dark Ryu or a dark Ken, basically. He had all the same moves.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think Guile has a cooler haircut.
He does. I could see Cody playing a good Guile, too.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know what to expect with Cody because I have not seen him in a movie before. I mean, I know he's got a role in this new Naked Gun movie coming out. What has he been in other than that Arrow show with Stephen Amell? I think he had a cameo on there. What other acting has he done?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I don't know what to expect. I don't know. I don't know if he'll have dialogue in the movie. I don't know if it'll be like a 2-second thing. I don't know. It's kind of an open book right now as far as he goes.
Well, I guess cutting a promo on WWE television is like dipping your little pinky toe in the water for acting, isn't it? I mean, he can't be that terrible.
I'm not saying he's terrible, but I'm not saying he's necessarily going to have an aptitude for every role that he's in. I'm curious to see how he does and what the role entails. But yeah, I mean, as far as to go back to your original question, McIntyre and Cody, they've teased it in the past. They've danced around it. We haven't really gotten a proper program between them. I think they were tag team champions many, many years ago together. I mean, there's a little bit of history there, but I'd love to see it. I don't know if it's something that would immediately come out of SummerSlam, but if Cody wins the title, what else would his first program be? It could be Randy Orton, depending on what happens with Orton, but I would love to see Cody and McIntyre. But do you honestly think that McIntyre is going to beat Cody? So
no.
Would you do it if the idea was that it's his first program and Cody is just going to beat him?
I would. That's the thing. Yeah, I wouldn't do that either.
Yeah,
honestly. Cody was actually quoted on Busted Open, being that we're talking about Cody. I'm staring right at this news article. He mentioned something about putting it all on his back with the rematch against John Cena at SummerSlam, because he did hear the criticisms of the WrestleMania 41 main event, which, I think a lot of people basically shit all over because it was just an awful main event. It was one of the worst WrestleMania main events of all time. He said, I'm Busted Open with Dave LaGreca and Bully Ray. SummerSlam, I don't want to go as far as making any promises, but I can tell you the goal with SummerSlam is if people felt a certain way about WrestleMania, I will put that all on my back and take all the credit and responsibility for perhaps not feeling satisfied. I'd like to get him to the finish line with SummerSlam. Very much looking forward to what we have going on with this dance again. And he says, you know what? One thing I notice about that is it only exists on X. It's a deep, deep discussion. And Rhodes went on to explain, yeah, you never say never in wrestling. Plenty of people have the capacity for the light and the dark, talking about his heel turn. But I don't know if we're on that road within the time I have left in wrestling. Who knows, though? With Bully Ray sitting next to you, you never want to say never. So I don't know why he's taking responsibility for what happened at WrestleMania. I mean, that's just, I guess, what the quarterback does for WWE. But
yeah. Well, you mentioned LaGreca. I just, as an aside, I'm kind of ashamed to admit this. I didn't realize until just recently that Dave is brothers with Don LaGreca.
Me neither. I saw him tweet it. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
I didn't realize. I just didn't put two and two together. Like, I'm not sure how I never realized that, but like I saw that. Maybe I saw the same thing that you did, and I was like, wait a minute, are they brothers?
Yeah.
And I look it up, and I'm like, holy shit! And Dave has like filled in on his radio show sometimes and done radio with him, and I don't know. I just never put two and two together. It just blew my mind.
Yeah, that's something I found out today too. So you're not alone there, but
yeah, and his brother, I think, was just named the play-by-play voice for the Devils.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
a lot of good things happening in that LaGreca family. Good for them. But Cody here, I don't know why he's putting it all on his back. I guess that's what the face of the company does in situations like that. I want to say it can't get any worse, but with what we've seen, I can't really sit here and say that I believe Cody. I guess we don't have the Rock shadow looming over us, so we don't have any anticipation for that happening. I think that's something that took away from that match. Possibly no Travis Scott. I don't know why we would. I think everybody there has kind of listened to the criticisms, and if we see that again, it's not going to really be a good look for WWE.
Well, I mean, you're not going to get Travis Scott. You're going to get Jelly Roll.
I got news on that too. So yes,
People.
Well, why is Jason talking about donuts? No, he's not talking about donuts. Yeah, but this match coming up at SummerSlam, I can't get any worse. I want to feel like we get a conclusion here, whether Cody goes heel or not. I can't see them doing it. We talked about that last week. I think Cody's going to win the championship no matter what. And Cena's going to go and run the rest of the year as a babyface. Honestly. Whatever. If Rollins cashes in, I don't know. There's a lot of X factors going into the SummerSlam, but I think Cody walks away with the championship, and I do think we get a better match than we got at WrestleMania. I don't know.
It would be hard to have a worse match.
Yeah.
I mean, it was awful. It was awful. And maybe we were spoiled by having some really good WrestleMania main events in recent years. But given who was involved and just the significance of it and him going after number 17, it's a shame that it happened in such a terrible match.
Was it worse than Yoko and Brett?
Which one? Because they had two of them.
WrestleMania 9.
You know, I don't hate that match. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was a great match, but I don't think it's as bad as some people make it out to be. I thought the WrestleMania 10 match was worse. So I kind of, I don't want to say enjoyed, but I mean, I thought it was okay. I thought that the Cena-Cody match sucked. So by that logic, yes, I think that match is better than Cena and Cody.
I agree. I was just curious to know what you thought there.
Yeah, I can't. There's a difference between thinking a match is like, it's okay, and then a match that just disappoints you in every conceivable way. To me, that's just far worse.
Bret Hart in the white getup that we seen on social media this week, or the regular pink and black. I don't know if you've seen the sketch artist with Bret wearing white and gold.
I saw something. I thought he was wearing not white though. I thought it was a different color, green or something. Maybe there were multiple sketches. Yeah, it just feels weird to me.
Yeah.
You know what it was? Maybe this is what you saw. That was the motion capture. Maybe that you're talking about.
No, I thought I saw some like stencil image of Bret wearing some other alternate attire.
Yes. Okay. So I saw that. I'm wondering if that. I was wondering where that was from. I wonder because I'm not through the 4-hour Bret Hart mixtape on the Vault.
I think it's in that. So I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's a segment. I'm like slowly working my way through it every day. I watch it in like little bits and pieces here and there. So I'm like an hour and a half into it, and they just had a segment that I'd never seen before, where it had to be from like 92 or 93, where he shows he starts drawing. Because I don't know if he still does this, but like he was very good at cartoon drawings.
Yeah.
So they have him, like they just show him, and he's just doing cartoon images of like Hogan and Undertaker and Paul Bearer, and it's just fascinating to watch because he's pretty good at it. So maybe that's in there somewhere. I just haven't gotten up to that part yet. But I think they also have footage of him doing motion capture work for the WrestleMania the arcade game.
Yeah.
And I think in that he's wearing like a neon green, maybe it is, or it's not pink, it's some other kind of color, and it just looks wrong. It's just weird seeing him in anything other than the pink and black.
Yeah, I haven't even started that Bret 4-hour thing on.
You better get going on it, man. There's some good stuff in there. I mean, it's a mix of stuff that you've probably already seen, or they've previously uploaded, but then there's just some things in between that I can't remember seeing before, and then the way they divide all the clips up. If you remember the commercial from the mid-90s with the kid that yells "Bret,"
yeah,
they use that soundbite like each time they cut to a different clip, so you hear the kid's voice like 15,000 times in this video.
Okay.
If he's I'll tell you what, I don't know how old that kid is today, but if he's getting royalties, he's probably doing well after that one video.
Oh yeah, I gotta start that, But yeah, that's Cody Cena at SummerSlam. Cody did say that on Busted Open. The other match that we have on Saturday night's main event is Seth Rollins and LA Knight. And with what we saw last night on Raw, I don't think that going into this show Saturday means that Rollins is going to lose to LA Knight. I just can't see that happening. And the reason why these two are wrestling is because LA Knight was a part of the Money in the Bank. And on the go-home show to Money in the Bank, Seth Rollins kind of laid some of the competitors in that Money in the Bank ladder match out, and LA Knight's had a problem with the, I guess, the Empire since then. So obviously it went tit for tat. LA Knight got screwed out of the King of the Ring. He screwed some of Rollins' boys in the King of the Ring tournament, and we are where we are right now, where LA Knight is now focusing on Seth Rollins and getting his revenge. Seth Rollins, Jason, is the leader of this new group. Bronson Reed won, I guess he kind of tsunami'd Jey Uso. He didn't really win, but he took care of Jey Uso last night. Braun Breaker beat Sami Zayn. Rollins beat Penta. I just can't see him being a leader of a faction and then losing while his other guys made him look good last night on Raw, going into Saturday and losing to LA Knight. So I'm going with Seth Rollins winning here, and I know the LA Knight fan base is going to be like, oh, LA Knight needs to win this. No, he doesn't, and I don't really see LA Knight getting a victory on Saturday.
Well, Seth Rollins also got a victory last night too. It wasn't just his his henchmen that did. All three of them did. The only way there is a chance that Seth Rollins could lose this match. I'm picking him to win, but if he loses this match, then to me that all but guarantees he's cashing in at the end of the show.
Or I thought you were going to say he could lose thanks to Roman returning. He could, but that's not where my mind was going. My mind was, if he loses to LA Knight, and again, no Roman, no nothing, but he just loses. He actually loses and does the job for LA Knight. To me, that all but guarantees he is at least attempting to, if not cashing in at the end of the show. But I don't see him cashing in, so I'm going to stick with him. I'm going to agree and stick with him. I think he is going to win the match. Can't rule out the possibility that he loses, but if he does, then I think that's what we get at the end of the show. Yeah, I didn't raise the possibility of Roman interfering and costing Rollins the match against LA Knight last night when I did my post show. That's always a possibility. I don't really see that happening. I do think Reigns, if he's wanting to get revenge on Rollins, there's a bigger opportunity for that to happen, and that would be in the main event here. I don't see Rollins cashing in and walking out with the World Heavyweight Championship, but before we get to that, Gunther Goldberg World Heavyweight Championship, Goldberg's retirement match. I know that Michael Cole has kind of at least insinuated that this could be Goldberg winning the title and then not retiring, because that would open up a whole nother possibility of him wrestling after this, which I know a lot of people are afraid of, honestly. And Jason talked about it. I talked about it. Under no circumstances should you be a creative writing team for a professional wrestling company and lobbying for Bill Goldberg to win the world championship over Gunther, who just won it. That, to me, I don't want to say it's not going to happen. We've seen stranger things happen, but I think I'm pretty certain that 100% we're not getting Goldberg winning the world championship on Saturday night. So
the only way it happens is if he immediately gets cashed in on. Like he's not leaving Atlanta as the world heavyweight champion.
Even that sounds ridiculous.
It does. No, it absolutely would be ridiculous. Just him beating Gunther would be ridiculous. As protected as Gunther has been, it would be fucking idiotic. And I'm going to say that it doesn't happen, and I think Gunther will retain. But again, I put nothing past these people. If they wanted to set up a shock Money in the Bank cash-in, and again, a cash-in could happen during the match. You don't have to wait for Goldberg to win. But do I think there is a chance that they would do something like that where, okay, we'll give him that one last big win, but then we're going to take it right back away from him because it is his last night? Sure, there's a chance. That's the one thing that worries me about this. But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that they will do the right thing, which is to have Gunther beat Bill Goldberg and go to SummerSlam as the World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, I'm going Gunther beating Goldberg. I said last night that if there is a cash-in, it will be an attempt at a cash-in, and it will happen during the match, and Rollins will make it a triple threat match, just like he did with Reigns and Lesnar at WrestleMania. Now, I don't even think at that point Rollins, if this does happen, walks out with the World Championship. I did say that if there is a place for Roman Reigns to come back, being that Paul Heyman name-dropped very strategically Roman Reigns on Raw last night, that he shows up in Atlanta and stops Seth Rollins from winning the World Championship. I also said if it's not Reigns, it's going to be Punk, because we also did not see CM Punk on Monday Night Raw last night. Now, if we get Punk, I think we get Reigns on Monday. If we get Reigns on Saturday, I think we get Punk on Monday. So I know a lot of people are wondering where Reigns is. WrestleVote said that plans are imminent for Roman Reigns, SummerSlam. I can't see WWE holding SummerSlam and MetLife over 2 nights and not have Roman Reigns on either night. So I know he's coming back. He needs to be back. But I said it's either Rollins and Reigns at SummerSlam, or it is Reigns and Punk versus Rollins and Braun Breaker at SummerSlam. I don't know which direction they're going to go, and I guess we can talk about that. How do you feel about Reigns' inclusion here, Jason? Do you see him come back on Saturday?
I could absolutely see him coming back on Saturday if he is going to have a match at SummerSlam. If he's going to be on the SummerSlam card, then having him return on Saturday night's main event would make sense. And I think the better play here would probably be Roman and Punk putting their differences aside and being tag team partners, because how do you do, I don't know, I mean, how do you do Roman and Seth one-on-one when they just reignited the issue between Punk and Rollins? Like, it almost feels like he needs to be involved with Seth in some way. And my thought was, so if you look ahead to SummerSlam, you've got Gunther, let's say, still the world heavyweight champion. What do you do with him? Now, we had that segment last week where Gunther was confronted by Rollins. Punk came out, chased him into the crowd, and then Punk had a little, run-in with Gunther for the first time. And that made me think that we might get a triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. There, is another idea, which is that you can do Punk and Rollins maybe on night one with the idea that the winner will be able to challenge Gunther maybe as the opening match on night 2 for the World Heavyweight Championship. So if you want to tie night 1 into night 2, you could do that. And Punk could beat Rollins, right? Vanquishes Rollins. He gets the shot against Gunther and have that be when Rollins cashes in. But again, that would assume that Roman Reigns is not going to have a match on the show, which I just find very hard to believe. So it put me on the spot and asked me, put a gun to my head and say, what do I think is going to happen? I kind of like that tag match idea, because then it also gives Braun Breaker, a big match on that show as well. Maybe Bronson Reed is the odd man out here, but I think Roman and Punk as partners would be an attraction on the show, don't you think? I
think so. That's why I mentioned it last night. It would also give Roman Reigns the first opportunity to pin Seth Rollins and get some sort of revenge for what happened at WrestleMania, because Rollins pinned Reigns. And then I see the cash-in happening at SummerSlam with Rollins on night, I guess, whenever the world title match happens. Rollins walking out, the ultimate winner as the new world heavyweight champion. I just don't know if that is the direction what we get Gunther doing and who he's defending the championship against. Because there's really slim pickings on Monday night. Who is it going to be? It can't be Jey Uso again. It's not Sami Zayn, because they haven't really even entertained that yet. But what is it going to be?
So that would be where LA Knight beating Rollins on Saturday would make sense, because then you can say, well, LA Knight gets the next shot.
I could see that. And then they just continue Rollins and LA Knight from that point on. And then LA Knight maybe starts a feud with Rollins after SummerSlam for the World Championship.
Yeah, he could be maybe the first challenger. Again, what do you do with Gunther? I feel like we're always coming back to that question. Like, what do you do with him? What do you do with Gunther?
I think at that point, we talked about a draft window or a trade window rather, or a draft. I think he moves over to SmackDown, honestly.
I don't know why we haven't heard anything about either a draft or a transfer portal already. I was kind of thinking and hoping that they would do the transfer portal twice a year. Open it back up at the beginning of the summer, and you could leave it open for a month or two, and then just come back to it again at the end of the year like they did last year. And you do that twice a year, you don't even need to do a draft, right? You just open that thing up and you can move people around as you see fit. And it's a little silly because we're talking about LA Knight here wrestling Seth Rollins. LA Knight is still on SmackDown. So like, we're talking about a draft or a transfer. Like, they're moving people from show to show without any regard to any kind of brand split anyway. So what are we even talking about here? But yeah, I'm kind of surprised we haven't gotten a transfer portal, opened up again so far this summer. It doesn't look like they have any plans on doing that. Maybe they've just given up on the concept and they're like, you know what, we're just going to move people around anyway the way that we want to. Maybe you can have the two GMs work out trades and stuff. Something else I don't know why we don't see more of. In the big picture, though, I guess it doesn't really matter because they're going to do what they want.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of people don't even realize that LA Knight is still a SmackDown guy.
Mm-hmm. He just came back and showed up on Raw. Nobody said anything. Adam Pearce doesn't seem to care.
The current landscape of WWE. We don't care, man.
We don't care. You're gonna what would Triple H say in that one interview? Like, I just wish people would just stop criticizing and just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Something like that, right? Yeah. That's their dream.
He used an expletive in there somewhere. Just shut the fuck up and just enjoy it or whatever he said.
Yeah, a little bit of he's a little hairy.
Yeah.
You could tell that it gets to him.
Yeah, definitely. So that's Saturday night's main event. Goldberg is not winning the world championship. Possible cash in from Rollins. I do think that Reigns shows up. Possibility of him showing up. I'm going with him showing up. I think WWE is going to have some surprises on Saturday night just to kind of steal that thunder away from All In. They kind of get off on it, so I could see that happening. And that is right now 3 matches for Atlanta on Saturday night.
3 matches now. If you bought tickets to that show, how much do you think these people paid for decent seats to a show that has 3 matches announced?
I would be pissed.
Yeah, I would be pretty upset about that. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean they're nearing a sellout for that show as Goldberg is kind of the hometown guy there, being that he played football there. So I'm sure they'll sell the show out. The other show that's happening for WWE on that same day, that afternoon, is nowhere near a sellout. I think they got a couple hundred tickets left, but they're running a venue that holds not even 1,000 people.
Well, I think they have it set up for something like 700 at center stage, and think about that. Like, if it's 700 and they still haven't sold it out, what does that say?
It means that they should be in Florida and not Atlanta.
It means that there probably shouldn't be a show that afternoon, is what that means.
No, the only reason why they're doing it is because they feel like NXT should and could go against All In. We're not going to talk about it because, honestly, the card is just ridiculous. The fact that they're even putting it up against All In is quite laughable, just looking at the card. The only thing of note there is Trick Williams and Joe Hendry, along with Mike Santana, are going to have a contract signing for that championship match that's coming up. When is it at what Slammiversary it is?
I think it's the 20th.
Yeah.
I know it's that weekend of the 19th. I think it might be that Sunday. Yeah. I think at UBS, I think they're set up for about 6,000 or 7,000. Last I checked, I think maybe they had 3,000, somewhere in that range, sold for the show.
Not very good. What happened to the partnership?
No.
I thought the partnership was booming over there.
Well, did you see that Carlos Silva, he gave an interview, the president of TNA, and they're trying to get a media rights deal. They think that they can get $10 million a year in a media rights deal, which, I mean, I don't know, where they pulled that number from, but yeah, I wish I could get $10 million a year too. It doesn't mean I'm going to get it. So, but they're very ambitious. They think that they could get $10 million and they can go live television every week. And they think that they can take their television audience, which right now is around 100,000, give or take, each week, and get that up maybe somewhere closer to like 250. I don't know how they expect to do this, but it's nice to have goals, I guess. So
Got to dream big, bro.
I guess you gotta have big goals.
That is what
I guess so.
No, I didn't hear that story, but 52 weeks of live television for TNA. Good luck with that.
That's the goal, to get them off Access TV, get a deal with like a linear station, or almost any station is going to be bigger than where they are now, but get a deal with like a network like that to get more eyes on the show.
Yeah.
He claims that this partnership with WWE has helped grow the audience. They were doing maybe 50,000 last year. Now they're around 100,000. And look, I mean, it has helped out with some of their live events, but this show was always very ambitious. I mean, you've been to UBS Arena before. I still haven't been there. I think what is the capacity? It's definitely like a 10 to 15,000 seat building, I think.
Yeah, it's in that vicinity. Let me look it up. It's definitely over 12,000. Let me see.
Yeah. So they're not setting this show up for that many seats, but it's a big building to run. And so if you have a building that, let's say, fits 14,000, let's just say, and you get 3,000 or 4,000, that's not ideal.
For NHL games, 17,000 plus. For concerts, upwards towards 19,000.
Oh, that's even bigger. Yeah. Even bigger than I thought. So, yeah, I mean, but that's the whole situation with AEW and why they started running the smaller venues for weekly television, because it was just ridiculous running these NBA buildings, and you can't even fill half the seats. There's no point in running buildings that big. And so I'm sure they expected that they would be able to, sell more tickets than they have already, especially with the partnership with WWE. I thought that they would get somebody from WWE that they could bring in to use as a hook for the show. I'm not saying Joe Hendry would have gotten his match that he wanted with John Cena, but they would have gotten something. It feels very one-sided. You know what I mean? Where WWE, they have some NXT guys going back and forth. The NXT champion right now, or the TNA champion, is an NXT guy. But you don't really see WWE throwing a whole lot of support their way. Like, would it have been a heavy lift to allow AJ Styles to work a match on this show?
Never mind. Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. That's the name that jumps out at you right away. What about New Day working the Hardys? Like, that could have been a fucking huge draw over there.
Yeah, the Lucha Bros working the Hardys.
Something like.
I mean, they probably want to save the reunion for their own show, but AJ Styles is literally doing nothing right now because Dom, they're putting off the title match between them. So I mean, he's got that going on, but AJ has said before he would love to go back to TNA to work a match. It's not like he's against the idea. Would it have been that much of an ask to say, okay, you know what would really maybe help us sell a few extra tickets? Since you're really not doing a lot with him, you get him off on that one date. Let's get AJ Styles making his TNA return at the UBS Arena, but evidently not.
Listen, if WWE had any sense of creativity, I would have taken the titles off the New Day way earlier, set up an angle with them kind of telling Adam Pearce they're walking, and they walk into TNA and they fucking overtake that show, and they challenge the Hardys for the tag team titles. A lot of people don't realize that the Hardys are still a massive draw for any company that they participate in. That would be a huge selling point for that show. That would actually get me excited. I don't even watch TNA.
And WWE got the Hardys from TNA for their Roadblock show, and they worked that show,
they worked for Axiom.
Back in March. But again, it seems to go one way and not the other so much.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
We'll get into Evolution quick. I want to see what Jason says about this story. He did mention Jelly Roll, and he's not talking about Dunkin' Donuts. WrestleVotes states that sources within WWE expect Jelly Roll and his appearance on Friday Night SmackDown from Nashville to be the start of something more. Now, this news is amplified by a key detail also noted in the report. While currently touring, Jelly Roll is off the first weekend of August, and that weekend coincides with SummerSlam in New Jersey, which is happening on August 2nd and August 3rd, which is leading to immediate speculation that he could be involved in a match or a major segment on SummerSlam, either night 1 or night 2. I looked at this, Jason, and the first thought immediately in my mind is I know WWE loves their celebrity friends, but these people have the brain capacity to book a storyline for Jelly Roll, and the fans are desperately asking for Carmelo Hayes to be involved more on SmackDown, but they can't be bothered to do that. What'd you think of the story when you read this shit?
Well, I mean, they already have. We know Cardi B is going to be hosting. So the celebrity influence is already there for the show. I don't know how many more celebrities they need to be part of this show. When I heard it, my first thought was, well, I'm not going to be here on Friday, so I'm totally devastated. I'm going to miss this Jelly Roll segment, whatever it is. But it sounds like I'll have an opportunity to see him again maybe next week, because this is probably the start of something and not just a one-off. I guess he's a big fan. I know he did the spot. Was it SummerSlam last year when he did the spot with Austin Theory where he gave him a chokeslam?
Yes.
Okay. And that was fine. The idea of him being in a program or having a match, maybe that's something that would interest some people. Me personally, I have no interest in this whatsoever. I mean, are there people clamoring to see this? I'm sure Jelly Roll, I know he's very popular as an artist and I have no issues with him, but him in a match potentially, I can't bring myself to care about this.
I can't even tell you. I have not met one person who's even a fan of Jelly Roll's music. I don't know. What is he, a country guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard some of his songs. I mean, it's fine.
Okay. That may be your thing. I don't know. Maybe people in the chat love Jelly Roll. I don't know.
I'm not telling you that. I've got Jelly Roll up and down my Spotify playlist, but I mean, I have nothing against the guy. I'm more of a Shabuzi guy myself, but look, I'm trying to think, like, what could it be? Like, if he's going to be on SmackDown, Well, hey, you know what? You mentioned Carmelo Hayes. Maybe that's how Carmelo Hayes gets on the SummerSlam card. Maybe he's going to have a program with Jelly Roll, and he'll do the job for Jelly Roll at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I'm sure that will go over so well on social media. Someone in the chat said that AJ is wrestling Dom this Saturday, guys, says Javi in the chat. I didn't hear that. I mean, unless that's the case, I could see it happening, but I thought they would actually kind of milk it towards SummerSlam, honestly.
Well, no, I made the comment on my show this weekend, they need another match. Maybe they add that to the show, but then last night came and went. And they had AJ just doing this kind of voyeur segment where he's eavesdropping on Dom and going like, I got my eyes on you. And they announced nothing.
It's like the Meet the Parents segment, Robert De Niro, Circle of Trust.
That's where they got it from. Yeah. So I'm on WWE.com just to see. I don't see anything. I don't know if he's assuming that maybe they'll add it, but if they would have, you would have expected them to say something on Raw last night, and they said nothing.
No. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. It's not Justin Toner in the chat said it's not official. Okay. So.
Yeah, no. I mean,
that definitely could be on the itinerary for Saturday. We just don't know yet.
Yeah, I mean, what were we talking about now? You mentioned Dom and him, and you threw me off.
I mentioned the whole IC thing from Meet the Parents.
No, but before that, we were talking about Jelly Donut
and right. Carmelo Hayes. Yeah,
and Carmelo Hayes. So, again, if he's going to be on SmackDown, one would assume he's going to be doing something with a SmackDown talent. You've got Carmelo Hayes. You've got Miz, maybe both of them. Who else would it be? Who else would he be working with if it's anything, that leads to something at SummerSlam?
Maybe it's R-Truth?
No. R-Truth has something going with Aleister Black right now.
Yeah, I think Aleister Black could be wrestling Damian Priest at SummerSlam, no?
Okay, but Truth is involved in that story, though.
Yeah, I know.
He's going to kind of be the conduit to that. I don't see him then breaking away and doing something with Jelly Roll, unless it's a tag match.
Maybe.
What if it's Truth and Jelly Roll against Truth's old partner and Carmelo Hayes?
I could see that. I could
see that too.
Yeah. No. Nobody asked for that, chat. No. Nobody asked for that. So, I don't know what's going on in Stamford, Connecticut, but they need to change course immediately.
Poor Carmelo.
Yeah.
Congratulations to him, by the way. I saw he got engaged to Kalani Jordan.
He did. Good for them.
So cheers to them.
More Carmelo Hayes on TV, please. He's I don't know how Braun Breaker's where he is, and then Carmelo is fucking in catering. I don't know. But we'll shift gears here ourselves. Evolution. We got this show happening on Sunday, all to itself, on a weekend full of pro wrestling. Now, the last time we saw Evolution, Jason, was in October of 2018. It was in the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island. I wasn't really blown away with the show. It wasn't a revolutionary effort as far as I'm concerned, but Ronda Rousey really kind of changed the way people viewed women's wrestling at the time, and the only reason why the show took place was because Ronda Rousey was a centralized figure in the women's division. We fast forward to 2025, and where they tried to celebrate women's wrestling, and I will say this, the only reason why Evolution took place was not only because of Ronda Rousey, it's because the ladies at that time were not allowed to wrestle on the Saudi Arabia shows, and they threw the division a bone by giving them their own show. So that's happened back in 2018. Now it's a little bit more free. The ladies are wrestling on the Saudi Arabia shows, but we fast forward to 2025, and they're being used in a chess game of pettiness between Nick Khan, Triple H, TKO, and Tony Khan and AEW. They have been put in the front line of defenses, and the only reason why the show is taking place is because AEW is having All in Texas on Saturday afternoon, and WWE wants to they just want to continue to just batter the fences of AEW down until they break. But at this point, I honestly feel more sad for WWE that their cards are showing here on the table, and I don't really sense any importance coming out of this show. I know you've made your opinion known about it, and I know a lot of people feel the same way. How do you feel about this show? It's not important, and what are you looking forward to just with this show announced? I mean, the card looks great, but what are you ultimately looking forward to here on Sunday night?
Well, I mean, mostly I'm looking forward to the main event because I do think that main event is going to be awesome. I think there's the potential for this to be a sleeper show. Like you said, the card is 7 matches deep at this point. Now that it's complete, it basically just mostly filled in over the past week. And there's the potential for some really good matches on that show, including the triple threat match for the IC title. So I'm looking forward mostly to the main event, but this show was sabotaged the minute it was announced. So I do feel badly for the women on this show who may get the blame if it doesn't perform well. And I mentioned tickets are not moving great. Most promotions would probably die to have 4,800 tickets or 5,100, whatever they've sold so far. But for these WWE shows that usually, if they don't sell out, they're hitting double digits like it's nobody's business. For them to be struggling to even hit 5,000 tickets sold in the same venue where the night before they're doing 11 or 12, that's not good. But they were sabotaged the minute they announced this show, because this is what happens when you run 3 shows in the same market in one weekend. It's overkill. It's too much. And you're burning people, especially for the ticket prices they charge. Like, who's going to multiple shows this weekend, right? You've got to pick and choose what you're going to go to here. So it was unfair to them to put them in this position where I feel like the show's probably not going to perform well. It may be another 7 years before we see another one of these fucking shows, unless they have another weekend next summer where they want to put the screws to Tony Khan and it's like, oh, we got Evolution 3 coming. But it's very transparent why the show, it took 7 years to announce this show, and of all weekends. Remember when Bodyslam.net, I think they were the first ones, they broke the news that it was going to be July 5th in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden that changed. And supposedly, it was a venue issue. And I'm like, I don't really believe that.
No, it wasn't. It was supposed to take place at Mohegan Sun.
Mohegan Sun on July 5th. They would have had that weekend all to themselves. And then it changed. And all of a sudden, magically, it became part of what is All In Weekend. And all of these other WWE shows that they're doing. And it's like, they don't, like, this show was not conceived of as, okay, this is an important show for the women's division and we want to see it succeed and we want to see it do well. It's being used as a weapon against somebody else.
Yeah.
If they wanted to do another one of these shows, it would not have taken 7 years for them to do it. But the first one was not, maybe it was a critical success, but it was not a business success. There's a reason why they didn't do another one after that. But it's very transparent why this is happening this weekend. All that being said, the show is this weekend. The card is complete, and there is the potential to have some really good matches on this show. So I don't know where you want to start. We'll start from the top of the card. But let's go through this and we'll talk about our predictions as we go along.
Yeah, just to give you guys an update on the ticket sales, this is from WrestleTix 3 days ago. Obviously, it's going to be more than this now, but as of July 4th, they only had 4,800 tickets out the door, and they're set up for 6,600. So.
Right. So there you go. I mean, when was the last time you heard of a WWE show struggling that hard to sell? Well, you know what? I guess it would have been NXT when they did that Tampa residency, basically is what it was at the end of May, right? Coming out of Memorial Day weekend. Yep. They were going to run Tampa 4 days in a row. They had to cancel the NXT show because they only sold 1,700 tickets to the, was it the Yuengling Center?
Yep.
So they had to move that show to the Performance Center because they burned people out. You would think they would learn their lesson, but evidently not.
That's what happens when you announce a card with 10 days to go. So you left fans not knowing exactly what's going on, even though you had the venue and the date announced. But that's happening on Sunday night, July 13th. We'll start with this. The NXT Women's Championship will be on the line. It's JC Jane, who's a part of Fatal Influence with Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix, against Jordan Grace. Now, I don't know if you heard the news, Jason. Masha Slamovich may be on NXT. I think the winner of this match gets Masha. I don't know when. It may be Slammiversary, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. I think it's Slammiversary.
That actually adds a nice little wrinkle to this. If they want to go Jordan and Masha, that would be kind of interesting because Jordan was the face of that women's division as Knockouts champion. She would be walking into TNA as the NXT Women's Champion and defending that title against Masha, who is the TNA Women's Champion right now currently. It would be winner take all title for title. So that would be a nice, interesting aspect. And I don't know where they go from there. If you want to go with the more predictable option here for Masha to win, it would be JC Jane. But I don't know where you feel with this because I do feel at the end of all this, Blake Monroe is eventually going to be the NXT Women's Champion, and I do feel that it's all going to be centered around her eventually. So I don't know if Jordan wins the championship, because the one thing that we've talked about several weeks ago was that she was about to get called up to the main roster. Why would they give her the Women's Championship if that was the case several weeks ago?
Well, that was the rumor, but she hasn't been called up, so
No.
maybe she's not going to be called up so fast. I went back and forth on this, but when I did my predictions the other day, I settled on JC Jane. I think JC Jane, because at the Great American Bash, they're doing a tag match, and it's going to be Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe against Fatal Influence.
Yeah.
Now, is it a handicap match? Is it 3-on-2?
That I'm not sure. I thought it was a 2-on-2 match.
It could be 2-on-2. So I have the baby faces winning that, and I have JC Jane retaining the title the next night. So I think she's going to hold on to the championship, and maybe they're going for some of that shock factor, because everybody will probably be thinking, well, Jordan's going to win this, but they'll let JC hold on to it for a little bit longer. But I've gone back and forth, because now there's rumors that Blake Monroe is potentially going to be turned heel, even though she just debuted as a babyface. So if that's the case, I could envision a scenario where they're going to be tag team partners on Saturday, and that goes well. And then Jordan wins the title, and then maybe Blake, turns on her, and they do Blake and Jordan in a program, which I think would be potentially an incredible series of matches. So I'm torn, but I just feel like JC Jane is going to retain. So I'm gonna go with her.
Yeah, I'm going with that as well. I think JC Jane's going to retain. Any chance that Jordan wins the championship, only to then drop it to Blake Monroe on NXT?
You mean right away, like on Tuesday?
No, I mean, it could happen on Tuesday, or the next PLE that they do, and then Jordan gets called up to the main roster, and then they give Blake that big win over someone who's really credible.
Yeah, I think there's a better than decent chance of that happening.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going JC Jane here to retain the NXT Women's Championship. Not the most exciting match, but Jordan is a very dynamic performer, so hopefully she can bring JC to a good match.
Not the most exciting match, but probably on this card, one of the less predictable matches.
Yeah, I agree. We have the no-holds-barred match between Jade Cargill and Naomi. Now, this was made on Friday Night SmackDown on the taped 4th of July episode. Jade had a segment with Tiffany Stratton where Tiffany announced that she will be giving Trish Stratus a championship match at Evolution. And there was a back and forth where Jade said to Tiffany, don't look past me, or whatever the case may be about her walking out of Evolution with the championship. It could be me versus you. It could be me versus Trish. We all know it's going to be Trish losing on Sunday. We'll get to that in a little bit. But Naomi had a segment backstage where she attacked Jade with the briefcase. And it was just very bizarre how it just out of nowhere it just happened. And Nick Aldis goes over to check on her. And she says, I want Naomi. The match is made right there. No holds barred. Like, okay, thanks for coming.
Well, I thought you were going to talk about how weird it was when Naomi attacked her and then knelt down and started laughing maniacally like an evil cartoon villain. The only thing missing was her pet cat for her to start petting or something. That was a little.
I'll give Naomi credit, man. She plays the psychotic part. Whatever she does psychotically, pretty decently. I will give her that.
I just think it was very weird that they did the segment out in the ring, and I'm still not really sure why Jade had to be out there. I mean, she didn't really say a whole lot, and then they did that backstage segment where Trish Stratus is walking. Now we just saw all three of them in the ring, and so now we're in the back after a commercial, and Trish is walking down the hallway, and she bumps into Jade. I'm like, they were just out in the ring together, and Jade is smiling at her, and it's almost like an introduction between them. I'm like, did I just imagine the segment that I saw out in the? It was just so strange. I didn't even know that. I didn't think that Jade had to be out there for that segment. Honestly, I mean, Tiffany could have just come out and announced her opponent, for Evolution. So everything about this was strange, to be honest with you. This match is a rematch from WrestleMania. Jade won that match. That was a match I felt like Naomi should have won because she had just turned heel. Jade won. I can't see Jade losing this because she's the number one contender for the championship. She's going to SummerSlam. She just won Queen of the Ring. And also, you've got the Money in the Bank syndrome, as I call it, because WWE has shown in the past that they are not afraid to beat people over and over and over again if they have the briefcase, because in their view, they've got the briefcase, so we can beat them like a drum. So I think Naomi is going to lose this. When she does eventually cash in, which will probably be at SummerSlam, I think she'll win. I don't see her winning this match, though.
No, I'm going Jade. Jade can't lose this. She's got a championship match guaranteed at SummerSlam. Why beat her in this match with Naomi?
Well, the only idea then would be if Naomi beats her and Jade goes on to win the title, Naomi could say, well, I beat you, so I should be the number one contender. But she's got the briefcase, so it's kind of unnecessary. I feel like she'll lose here and then get her revenge when she eventually cashes in.
I agree. I'm going Jade Cargill here. I'm going Naomi to win the championship at SummerSlam. I've been on that narrative for several weeks now. Chad is saying that Julia is now confirmed for the Battle Royal on Sunday.
Okay.
They did a big brawl like Vince used to do to sell the Royal Rumble. Everybody's in the ring wrestling each other for the.
All right, well, then we'll get Julia and Stephanie back in the ring together then.
There you go. I think those are the final two competitors in the Battle Royal.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes it too predictable though, because Julia's got the U.S. title, so I wouldn't expect her to win.
No, I'm going Stephanie anyway. I guess we might as well talk about.
You don't think it's going to come down? You don't think it's going to? Well, we might as well talk about it now because there is a battle royal on Sunday, and this is where I suspect we'll see a couple of faces from the past. Some legends will be in there. Mickey James, I can see Mickey James popping up in there. Michelle McCool, people like that. You don't think that they might not have it come down to Stephanie Vicaire and the Hall of Famer, Nikki Bella?
You want to talk about predictable, man. Holy shit. I mean,
I don't know. Nikki Bella said she wants to have a championship run. The Bella Army is probably expecting her to...
the fact that you say that and she butchered her name a couple of weeks ago, I could absolutely see that happening. I don't really... I mean, I thought you were going to tell me Nikki Bella's going to win the Battle Royal.
No, but just it comes down to the final two. It could be the two of them, and then Stephanie wins.
Yeah. I think that's gonna be the case.
Or what if we get Twin Magic, and then they dump Stephanie out using Twin Magic?
You think that shtick would get over today?
I think it would get heat.
But all the technology we have, we're gonna do Twin Magic now in 2025.
I think it would get heat. I'm not saying I would do it. I'm just saying because we haven't heard about Brie Bella even being contacted for a role on this show. And so I'm wondering if maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe they have a certain spot in mind. Maybe they were going to do it in the match with Liv Morgan where they have, the old Twin Magic for old time's sake. And I'm just saying, you got to at least consider the possibility.
Naft Gaming in the chat saying ban Solo right now. As long as we get Brie mode, I'll take that scenario happening.
Naft, I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying you have to consider the possibility, that they might want to do a clever spot like that. Actually, you know what? I kind of hope they do, and then Stephanie proves that she's not, a dumb baby face, and it doesn't work on her, and she just tosses both of them from the ring.
Yeah. Listen, I could see. I don't know who is contacted for this thing. You got Michelle McCool saying she hasn't gotten a phone call, which I don't really believe.
But that's what they're saying. Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Yeah, I could see Brie in this thing. I mean, why Nikki and not Brie? I don't want.
Well, I mean, Molly Holly. I think I know at one point maybe she still is a producer for them. So she may actually work for them. I could see her having a role in there. Is there anybody who maybe has been out for a while who you think they might say? Well, what about Bianca?
I think they saved Bianca for SummerSlam.
To do what?
To turn heel with Naomi. She's the mastermind behind the entire windshield thing.
Okay, but so when you say that, you're not saving her for a match. You're saving her for
I'm saving her coming back then and revealing that she's been with Naomi. Yes.
Okay.
It does kind of suck that she would be missing Evolution, but it is what it is.
Because I mean, let's game this out here. We just got done talking about Jade and Naomi, right? And we know that Jade is going to SummerSlam to challenge Tiffany for the championship. If Bianca is ready to come back from the broken fingers and she's cleared, what if she's in the Battle Royal and wins it? And she guarantees herself a title shot in Paris, and she's wrestling either Jade or Naomi. If she cashed in and won, you can't see that maybe as being the championship match on that show?
I could absolutely see that being the case, but that would ensure what? That Bianca wrestles Jade as a heel? Or it would be two baby faces.
Well, no,
I'll tell you right now.
This would assume that the thing that I pitched and basically what you just said doesn't happen, and Bianca doesn't go heel.
Yeah.
So we're assuming that doesn't happen, because that would be kind of interesting. But let's say that doesn't happen. But clearly the issue is not over yet, involving Bianca and Naomi, Bianca and Jade. What interaction might there be there? I'm just saying, if there's a title shot on the line and you got these two women potentially, involved in this women's title situation at SummerSlam, one of them is probably going to be the champion coming out of it. It almost is set up too perfectly then for Bianca to challenge one of them for the title a few weeks later.
I listen, now that you brought that to everybody's attention, because I didn't really even think of that. I
didn't think of it until just now either.
I think that's a possibility, and maybe Bianca doesn't go heel and wrestles Jade as a babyface, and it's a mutual respect thing, and Naomi cashes in then, and she screws both of them and wins the championship. I don't know.
That could be.
I'd like to see Tiffany versus Bianca too. That's an interesting match, but I don't think we get that yet.
No.
But yeah, again, this is why you make Tuesday night destination viewing. Nobody even thought of that until now. So we're giving you guys the lay of the land here. I'm still going Stephanie. I think she wins the Battle Royal, and we will talk about what she potentially does at Clash in Paris, because the winner of this Battle Royal gets a championship match of their choosing. I'm assuming, being Stephanie's on Raw, she gets a Raw Women's Championship match at Clash in Paris. So who that will be against, we don't really know as of right now. Judgment Day. Right?
Can you imagine the reaction if Tessa Blanchard is a surprise entrant in the Battle Royal?
I would love to see that, bro.
Just for the reaction?
Just for the reaction. I listen, no matter what people think of Tessa's a tremendous pro wrestler.
Oh, no one is denying that, but there's a reason why she has not been in WWE yet.
Well, all's been good so far, though, so why wouldn't they give her a shot?
I'm saying because there is a working relationship there. Yeah. Wouldn't that be... That would be something.
I would actually like to see that, just for the reaction. Yeah. Listen, it could be a great step forward. I mean, WWE salivating at getting her in the ring with Charlotte.
I think
Flair.
Naft really wants to be thrown out of here now after that.
Listen, man, Naft, I'm with Jason. I would like to see that, man. So we will.
I don't put words in my mouth. I'm just saying, wouldn't it be something if that happened? I didn't say, man, I would love it if this happened. I'm just saying, wouldn't that be something? Because we haven't even discussed the possibility of there being some surprise, maybe one or two surprise TNA entrants in this Battle Royal.
You think Masha is in the Battle Royal? And she's the champion. I mean, that would be kind of difficult to just eliminate her, right?
She's it would be, and considering that there's a title shot on the line, I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure you want to be doing that.
So we'll go Dana Brooke then.
You know what?
You can throw me off my own show, man. Just get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Where's Naft now?
Well, I did hear the WWE potentially could be bringing back the Iconics for this match, so we could see both Billie Kay and Peyton Royce in this match. I don't know if you heard that rumor.
Well, didn't they just come back to TNA?
Yes, they are the inspiration on TNA.
Right, the inspiration. So yeah, I could see that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going Stephanie. We'll talk about what she potentially does a little bit later. Judgment Day. Raquel Rodriguez, Roxanne Perez will defend the Women's Tag Team Championships. They are still making these tag team titles a thing. They are desperately trying, even though there are no real teams in the company outside the Judgment Day right now. Charlotte and Alexa are a makeshift tag team. They are together. Sol Ruka and Zarya have been a team, but they have no competition outside of Fatal Influence. And Asuka and Kairi Sane are the Kabuki Warriors, and they are the 14 that was just added on Monday, making up your Fatal 4-Way. Now, I know it's easy to go and look at Charlotte and Alexa winning the championships here, but I think that we get them challenging, Jason, the tag team titles at SummerSlam. I think Alexa and Charlotte win the championships in New Jersey from the Judgment Day. So I'm going Judgment Day to retain here, but I want to run something by you here, and I mentioned this on my Raw post show last night. I mentioned that Asuka's 43 years old. She's not getting any younger. She's still tremendous. She's still one of the best in-ring performers that the WWE has in that women's division. I'd like to see her go on a run on her own. I'd like to see Kairi get some momentum and go on a run on her own. What if, because I mentioned, and I don't know if anybody's talking about this, the top of the babyface card on WWE's women's division on Raw, there's a lot of baby faces and not enough heels. We got Becky, and Becky's a great heel, don't get me wrong. We don't know where Bayley fits into that, if she's going to turn heel. We don't know if Lyra's going to turn heel. I don't really get a sense that either one of them are going to go heel. Becky is a heel, but she's the only real substantial heel on that show worth anything. If Rhea and Io are going to be the two top baby faces fighting over the world championship on Sunday night, and either one of them walk out with the championship, who else is there as a heel? So I'm asking you, do you see WWE taking Asuka from babyface to heel on Sunday night? I'd like to see Asuka go heel. I think she turns heel on Sunday.
I would like to see her get a heel run. I don't know that I see it on Sunday, though. So would it be an angle they shoot with her where she comes out after the main event? Like, when would they do this heel turn?
That's exactly what I said last night. After the main event, she turns on Io. Kyrie comes out and she kind of saves, and they both get laid out. And we do the match that you proposed last week on TNT. It will be Io, Asuka, and Rhea for the Women's Championship in a triple threat.
You could do that. I mean, I think just given the makeup of the roster right now, it would be better for her to be in the heel position. So I'd be all for it.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. They're not going to win on Sunday. I'm going Raquel and Roxanne, and then like I said, Charlotte and Alexa I think is the match for SummerSlam. But I'm looking forward to this match. Actually, I hate the women's tag team division. I've been so against it ever since Sasha and Bayley lost to the Iconics at WrestleMania. I don't really care for the division or the championships. I think they should get rid of them completely. But this match may be a match of the night candidate for sure. I think all four teams are going to bring it on Sunday night.
Yeah, I'm going with the Judgment Day to retain.
Yeah. What else do we got here? Triple threat. Speaking of Becky Lynch. Becky, Bayley, Lyra, triple threat for the Intercontinental Championship. This was very predictable. We all saw this coming from a mile away. It was made official last night on Monday Night Raw. I don't know where they go going into SummerSlam, but I don't see Becky Lynch losing the championship on Sunday. I think we further build upon this, and I think Becky retains the championship here, even though I have been very pleased with the work that Becky's put in as a heel. I think the work with Lyra has been very good. I think Lyra is a lot better off now than she was when she first burst onto the scene on Monday night. You see the progress being made. Not there yet, but we're slowly getting there. But I'm going with Becky retaining the championship here.
Yeah, I don't see there being a title change. Yeah. I kind of think Bayley and Lyra end up canceling each other out. Becky ekes out a win, retains the Intercontinental title. What we get at SummerSlam, that is a little fuzzier for me because they're not going to run a triple threat match back. So for me, it would probably just be one of those two ladies. They could always maybe have a number one contenders match on TV, figure something out, because you're not going to leave Becky Lynch off the SummerSlam card. Obviously, she'll be defending that title against someone, but she will be defending that title at SummerSlam because she's going to retain it here.
Any chance of we get Bayley and Lyra doing something on night one to wrestle Becky on night two? Do they use the 2-night format for these three ladies here?
You could do it. I don't honestly see them having a women's singles match with nothing on the line on the SummerSlam card.
Yeah.
All right. I feel like it would just be unlike Triple H to do that. I feel like they would probably set that up in advance and just have the title match on night one or night two.
All right. Going Becky Lynch to retain the IC championship here. Trish Stratus, she gets a WWE Women's Championship match for just showing up to work. That's what we do now. Participation prizes for everybody.
Well, she's the Hall of Famer. That's how Goldberg got a title shot. He's a Hall of Famer. And when you're a Hall of Famer, you get a title shot. I'm waiting for Bret Hart to come back and get a title match as well.
I know. I would rather see that than this, or Goldberg. But
well, let's not put him in the ring with Goldberg. We've already been down that road once before.
No, but I would listen. We just talked about that just not too long ago. I'd love to see Goldberg use a Bret Hart maneuver on Goldberg on Saturday night. Maybe a sharpshooter.
So hold on a second.
Gunther used the sharpshooter on Goldberg.
You are suggesting that Bill Goldberg, 58-year-old Bill Goldberg, who threw a punch and got winded the other night, is going to do some technical wrestling and use a Bret Hart move on Saturday?
No, Gunther used the move on Goldberg.
But I think you said Goldberg. Did you misspeak and say Goldberg? I think you misspoke
I
and
might
said
have,
Goldberg.
but that's not what I meant. Goldberg, take the sharpshooter from Gunther. That's what I meant.
I have no problem with that, but like the idea that Goldberg would use a Bret Hart move is just completely asinine. So Gunther using a Bret Hart move, I'm okay with that. What else would it be if not a sharpshooter? He's going to put the sharpshooter, the figure four around the ring post. I mean, what else is he going to do? So
sure.
It would almost have, yeah, that'd be great, but it would almost have to be a sharpshooter.
Side Russian leg sweep or something. I don't know.
Elbow off the middle row.
Yes.
Is he going to take that running turnbuckle bump in the corner?
Yeah, no, those were the best, man. I missed that. Yes, I did misspeak. You guys know what I meant. Fucking Christ. I don't have my espresso tonight, so I'm a little off. But
that would be the ultimate insult if Goldberg used a Bret Hart move in this match on.
It would. Bret would be. You could hear the steam coming out of Bret's ears if that's the case. This match. Listen, I said as much on Friday when I did the SmackDown post. You know, WWE gave Io and Tiffany the right to choose their opponents. It sucks. Let's just call a spade here. It fucking sucks. It's lacking creative. It's fucking lazy. It's lazy. The thing is, at least it's not someone completely out of the ordinary. At least Io chose Rhea and they have somewhat of a history. At least Tiffany chose Trish and they have somewhat of a history. Less than Io and Rhea, but at least they had something to do with each other in months past, and now she's paying it forward to Trish. Does it make it good? Does it make it right? No, it's fucking lazy. Let's call it what it is. But Trish, you know, the last time she wrestled Becky, what was it, a steel cage match? That was tremendous.
I have said that match that she had with Becky, which was the last match that she had, was the best match of her career.
Probably, yeah.
Point blank.
Now, is Tiffany the level of performer that Becky is? No, but Tiffany is no slouch, and I do think that this could be a very good match on Sunday night, but a very predictable one. So Tiffany Stratton will easily retain the championship here, and this is nothing more than giving back to Trish. What is she, 25 years now? And you know, it would be weird if you have an Evolution show, second of its kind, without Trish Stratus on it. So I'm going Tiffany Stratton to retain, and I'm sure Jason's probably thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Tiffany Stratton will retain. Again, she's not Becky Lynch, so what kind of match is she going to be able to carry with Trish in there? We'll find out. I think it has the potential to be pretty good. It gives me hope, though, the fact that the last match we saw Trish in happened to be the best match of her career. So it's not like she's been putting in clunkers and I'm dreading the match or anything like that. I'm kind of curious to see what these two can put together, but it's not the match I am most looking forward to on the show. That would be the main event.
That would be this one. Io Sky defends the Women's World Championship against Rhea Ripley. Now, I know last week Jason complained about Io's run as champion. I agree wholeheartedly on every point that he made. Io has not had a great run at all. The most notable thing that she's done is the triple threat match with Rhea and Bianca at WrestleMania, which may go down as one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time, especially on the women's side of things. It may be the second greatest women's match in WrestleMania history. Some say it may be the best ever. I don't know. I'm taking Rhea and Charlotte still over it. But as far as what she's done, the only other thing of note that she's done is wrestle Stephanie on the Raw after Mania, and that was it. People got excited about that because everybody loves Stephanie, and they put on a really good match on TV. Now we come to this, and this has really divided the audience, Jason. A lot of people love Io. She's one of the best in-ring performers, male or female, in the company. She has been given the ball, and they haven't done anything creatively with it. But at the same time, Rhea is still, you know, management's favorite. Everybody loves Rhea. She's probably the most over female in the entire industry. Triple H loves her. She's always going to be in that title discussion. I just don't think the fans think it's time to take the belt off Io and put it back on Rhea. And I do think that if WWE does that, there's going to be a lot of complaints coming out of Sunday's show. And I know we sparked a discussion last week where all of this leads into Clash in Paris, and then we have Crown Jewel being in Perth. Is WWE's idea with Rhea as the champion going into Perth, or what's the deal there? Because, you know, the Crown Jewel championships will be on the line. I don't know if we mentioned that last week. It will be champion versus champion. So the titles, if Rhea is the champion, will not be defending the championship there.
We don't know that.
I think I'm going to assume that that's going to be the case. I don't know why it would be anything else. So
Well, I mean, they have the crown jewel titles now.
Yeah.
So I'm just not sure. You mentioned champion against champion like they did with Cody and Gunther. I don't know if they're going to do that again or just have the. Well, I guess they can have the previous crown jewel champions defend their titles because Liv Morgan is hurt.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're going to do with that, but yeah, I mean that's still the only real question I have. The only question here is, do they want Rhea Ripley going into Perth as the defending champion, or do they want her to go to Perth and win the championship? And I find it easier to believe that she'll be the champion going into Perth, which is the same position that she was in last year. She headlined that show at the Elimination Chamber against Nia Jax in Perth. She went into the main event as the defending champion. If she doesn't win the title here, and she doesn't win at SummerSlam, and then you still got Clash in Paris, and I don't know if they're going to do a show in September. I mean, can you really beat her and hold off until October to put that title on her? I'm struggling to see how they do that. It's a lot easier for me to believe that she'll be the champion going into that show. I'm picking Rhea to win the title here. I think the story they told on Raw last night in that video package, because neither woman was on the show last night, but they had this 3 or 4 minute video package. And the story is that Io Sky has Rhea Ripley's number. She has beaten her at every turn, going back to the Mae Young Classic in 2018. She beat her there. She beat her in NXT. She beat her on Raw earlier this year. She beat her again at WrestleMania in the Triple Threat match. Rhea Ripley cannot beat Io Sky one-on-one, including this year. I think this time she goes in there and she wins the championship. I think we're not getting a WWE women's title change. We're not getting an NXT women's title change. They will save the title change here for this match in the main event.
It's so tough. I could see everything that you said becoming a reality. I wanna say I agree with you with Rhea winning the championship on Sunday, and I'm really struggling to see where WWE goes with this because there's a lot of different ways they could go. I just love the idea of Io and Stephanie in Paris. That's a long shot. I don't even think we get there. I know a lot of people wanted to see a second match with them. We could still get another match with them without the championship being on the line, and it would mean nothing. But for that and Stephanie winning the Battle Royal like we both predicted, I'm just trying to think who matches up with Stephanie in Paris. Is it Io and Stephanie? Do they do Rhea and Stephanie in Paris? I mean, that's, to me, a little too early. That's just way too early to be doing that match. I mean, that's got WrestleMania written all over it. Not that we can't do it there.
Right. Well, you can still do the match at WrestleMania, next year, the year after. It could be, it doesn't have to be next year.
Yeah.
So just because you do the match now, it's like people said the same thing about the King of the Ring final that we just saw at Night of Champions. Oh, why are we giving away that first Cody and Randy match on a week's notice in the finals of the King of the Ring in Saudi Arabia? Because it was only the first match. One would assume that this is going to lead to a series of matches between them and a more formal program with them at some point. You could do Rhea and Stephanie for the first time in Paris because this is their first Paris show. It's going to be a big show. It should be a hot crowd. I don't see the harm in doing the match one, even if Rhea beats Stephanie, which I assume she would.
No, she's bulletproof. I don't give a shit if Stephanie loses.
Yeah, but like as long as they go out there and have a kick-ass match, a competitive match, like Stephanie will not be damaged by going in there and losing a competitive match to Rhea Ripley. It doesn't mean you can't circle back around to it, next year or some other time, and then Stephanie, finally beats Rhea. So I wouldn't look at this and go, well, I don't know if they would give the first match away on this show. So I wouldn't use that as a reason that, not to think that you might see that match at Clash in Paris. I think that's the most likely match that we see on that show for that championship.
Yeah, I could see that. Then it's also got me thinking, what do we do going into Perth? If Rhea does take the championship into Perth, and this is depending on if we have the Crown Jewel championships defended in a champion versus champion, I just love the idea of Rhea walking in there and having Bianca be the champion. And we get Rhea from Raw versus Bianca on SmackDown for that Perth show. I mean, that's a big fucking deal too. So I don't know where they go with that. Outside of everything I just mentioned, if Rhea wins the championship here, my other question is, what does Io do at SummerSlam? Do we leave Io off of SummerSlam? She's got nothing important to do. Unless we run Io versus Rhea back again at SummerSlam, which I don't see them doing. What does Io do at SummerSlam?
Well, you mentioned the possibility of a triple threat with Rhea, Io, and Asuka.
I think that's why I'm bringing all these variables to the table. At the end of everything I just said, I'm going to go against what Jason said. I'm going to go Io retaining the championship, and I think Asuka turns heel, and I think we get a triple threat match with Io, Asuka, and Rhea Ripley at SummerSlam, and I think Rhea Ripley wins the championship at SummerSlam by pinning Asuka, and I think we get Io still having Rhea's number. I don't think they get rid of that yet.
Okay.
Yeah. That's my prediction.
We'll see.
It's just a prediction, bro. I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll see. That's Evolution. That's Sunday night. Jason and I will both be live on our channels covering the show. Card looks good. I mean, it's not like it's a fucking snoozer card. It's a very good card. It's just show came about in 10 days, and you know they really shafted the ladies here. So it's all done for the glory of All In Texas, which we will get into in a second.
This is also what happens when you have multiple shows in the same weekend. So, the promotion has been divided in half because it's not just focusing on Evolution. There's been a lot of focus on Saturday night's main event and Goldberg's retirement match and McIntyre coming back and Seth and LA Knight. So that also kind of, handicaps them in a way because your attention is kind of divided between the two shows. And the show on Saturday is just perceived as being a bigger deal, even though there's only 3 matches on the card.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. If they gave them July 5th, none of this would be a problem. But that would not be WWE's motto. They can't do anything without kind of shoving it in Tony Khan's face.
But that would also be to the point of what I said before about Overkill. Even if this show is on July 5th, think about it. You go from Night of Champions on the 28th. A week later, you're doing Evolution. And then a week later, you're doing Saturday night's main event.
Yes. I know it's bad.
It's still overkill. It's like
ever since WrestleMania ended, every 3 weeks there's been a show or a multitude of shows in the same fucking 3-week span. Like like they are so greedy and they got nothing but money in the eyes. It's crazy. We complained about too many shows when Vince was there because he was running dual branded shows. Then they went back and scaled it back to fucking 14 or so. Then they went back to 1 a month. And now we're up to how many fucking shows this year already? It's not even half the year yet.
There are still some people, I'll get a question here and there, like for my mailbag segment, there are still people who would like for them to go back to brand exclusive PLEs.
No.
Which I think is absolutely just fucking insane. I don't know why you would even suggest such a thing.
No.
But there are people that want to see that or have, well, what if they do this? And would this be better for the talents on the roster? No.
Listen, I enjoyed those 2016 SmackDowns just as much as everybody else, but the answer is no on that. Absolutely.
Well, dude, I wasn't a fan of the split brand PLEs when they did them the first time.
No.
I certainly, with all the content now, I certainly don't want to see them brought back now.
No, I think you guys are crazy for thinking that, but that's the WWE way of life. Too many shows, content overload, and nothing feels important. But we will get into All In. This is the show that the majority of us will be watching. I know Jason and I will be watching this over everything else and streaming our thoughts and opinions on it on Saturday afternoon. And Dynamite on Wednesday was a good show. I've been hard on Dynamite through most of the year. Wednesday was a good show. It felt like a renewed focus on the big matches. Still, it's not overly exciting to me. I know that may be weird to some of the sickos out there, but I just don't get the same sense of excitement as I got with All In, the original All In, the one in Chicago at the Now Arena. I was there. The energy was just not the same. The one in Wembley, the first one, I was there. It's not the same. Even last year's. I thought last year's show was tremendous. I thought last year's show was better than year one. But we got this show, Jason, and the card looks fucking great. I'm excited about Saturday afternoon. How do you feel about this show compared to the All-Ins that we've gotten in Wembley the first 2 years? Are you more excited? Are you less excited? How are you feeling about Saturday show?
I mean, it's about the same. It's about the same. There were matches on those shows that I was very much looking forward to, and it's the same thing on this card. I mean, the top of the card is as strong as any show that they've probably ever done. If you really look at what the key matches are on this show, you've got the AEW World Championship match, and everything that's at stake in that match. And then you have, of course, Omega and Okada, which is a match that Tony Khan's been waiting to do from the moment he signed Okada to a contract. Mercedes and Tony Storm, they have the potential, I think, to be... I think that could be an all-timer as far as women's matches that we have had in this company. Like, all time. The potential is there for that match to be that good. And then you look up and down the card and, you know, the tag match with the Bucks and you know, obviously the 2 Casino Gauntlet matches. You know, we don't even know everybody who's going to be in those matches, but most of the Casino Gauntlets that we have seen, I think most of them have come on TV. Not all of them, but almost all of them have been really fun. Like, they found a fun format. They just went overboard in how many he started doing. But I expect both those matches to be probably a lot of fun. So I think it's a really strong card overall. I think that they're doing it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, probably, I think for 2 reasons. Number one, I think people were very accustomed to the show airing earlier because, you know, those Wembley shows, it was in a different time zone. So I wonder if part of it is that people are so acclimated to All In having an earlier start time, even though now it's in the U.S., maybe they just wanted to stick to that. And also the fact that this is probably going to be a very long show.
It is going to be a very long show. I could see this ending just around the same time as Saturday night's main event starting. And some of these matches, I guarantee you, Okada and Omega going 30 minutes easy. I mean, that's a minimum. Mercedes and Tony may go the same 30 minutes. I mean, we're going to get a lot of pro wrestling on this show. But I'm excited for this show just because of the finality of some of these things. And the Casino Gauntlet match last year I thought was one of the best things on the show last year. And this year, I'm looking forward to it. It definitely opens up a lot of possibilities, which we'll get into. We'll start with this. The Hurt Syndicate will defend the tag team championships against Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey. And they now made it into a triple threat match as announced on Collision. It will be the Hurt Syndicate versus Jet Speed versus the Patriarchy. That's Christian Cage and Nick Wayne. Now, I know you didn't like the segment on Wednesday as they got treated like the biggest fucking geeks on the entire roster. I know Jesse and I had a ball with that one. I mean, it was just absolutely ridiculous. And Tony Khan thinking that, you know, we'll beat these guys down so badly on Wednesday and they keep coming back for more and keep coming back for more, it's going to get the sympathetic crowd behind them. No, it's not. I think they just look absolutely ridiculous to a point where I don't even want to see them in this fucking match, to be quite honest with you. I know you made fun of that as well, but I can't see anything but a Hurt Syndicate win here because I'm just thinking long-term here with the MJF and Bobby Lashley dynamic, and I do think that those titles will come into play eventually when MJF kind of makes that mistake and he does what he's got to do, and he costs them accidentally in the future. I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm going to Hurt Syndicate.
I'm going with the Hurt Syndicate as well. I am not convinced that we are done adding teams to this match, and I'm wondering if we get FTR added to this match.
Well, it's funny you say that because I originally wanted them in this match, and if they are in this match, like you are predicting, I'm going with FTR to win the tag team titles.
I think there's a very good chance they get added. I think I'm still going to stick, though, with Hurt Syndicate to retain. But the reason that I was, suggesting this, first of all, they wrestled the Outrunners on Collision and they beat the Outrunners. I thought maybe we would get an Adam Copeland return after the match, and we didn't. So they won their match, and they have no match on the All-In card unless you just toss them into the Battle Royal.
Yeah,
well, not the Battle Royal. I'm mixing up all my fucking shows this weekend. The Casino Gauntlet match, you could throw them into there if you want to, but that would be weird because they're a tag team. So wouldn't it just make more sense to just turn it into a 4-way? Because I do believe that in recent weeks there has been, I could have sworn there was at least a backstage segment or a run-in between FTR and the Patriarchy. So I feel like you can connect the dots here to get to a Copeland return and an eventual Copeland Christian reunion and tag match, and you could start that here. And you add FTR to the match, and you think they're going to win. Even if whether they win or not, we get a Copeland return when the match is over. If, let's say, FTR was to attack the Patriarchy and attack Christian Cage, and Copeland comes out not to save Christian, but because he was going to come back anyway and try to kick their asses for trying to end his career. But this could be the beginning of that process where Copeland and Christian, now they have a common enemy in FTR. And the slow build begins to what is eventually, let's say it All Out in Toronto, a tag team match between Cope, Christian, and FTR. In your scenario, FTR would be the champions, so that match would eventually become a tag team title match, which I could absolutely see. But don't you think that would make sense just to add them to this match? Because A, they have none, and B, you can begin that story here in this match.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know where else Copeland would fit in. You mentioned that he may be in the Gauntlet match. I don't even want to see him in the Gauntlet match because you think he would win if he's there.
Well, I said I said last week I don't want to see him pop up in the Gauntlet because if he's in the Gauntlet, he probably wins. So I don't want to see him there.
Yeah.
Him coming out to make the save, let's say, after a match, like, that's fine. But being in the Gauntlet, it doesn't even make sense to me unless FTR is in the Gauntlet. If Dax and Cash, I have to imagine they're going to be on the show in some way.
They have to.
If they enter themselves into the Casino Gauntlet match, which again would be very weird because the winner gets a future world championship match. Now, have they specified that it has to be a singles match? Could they potentially, like, if one of them wins, could they say that they want it to be a tag team title match? I mean, that would be kind of goofy. I don't know that they said that can happen, but let's just say that they're in there. And then Copeland was to be a surprise entrant in the Gauntlet and he can eliminate. You could do that, but I just think that would be very dumb.
No, I like your idea of weaving Copeland and Christian together because it also has the Nick Wayne aspect. Like, what is Nick Wayne going to be thinking when Christian eventually kind of looks at Copeland and they kind of reconnect again? Is Christian going to abandon his patriarchy to go back with his best friend? How is that going to make Nick Wayne feel?
Well, or maybe Nick Wayne is going to play a key role in uniting them. Maybe they really don't want to have anything to do with each other. Christian has no interest in tagging with this man, but maybe Nick Wayne, his son, tries to talk him into it. I mean, there's different ways you could go with it, but I feel like FTR needs to be in this match to kind of start that process.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot. I could see them adding another team for sure because out of these two teams right now, just on the surface, Hurts and they no way should be losing the tag team championships. At least FTR in there gives it a little bit of a chance that they do get back those titles. So we'll see what happens. We got Dynamite and Collision, so we have 2 more shows left.
Yeah, and also, this being a multi-team match, it would be a way for them to get the belts off the Hurt Syndicate without beating them directly.
Yes.
Because you could have FTR, if they win the titles, let's say, if they get added, and then they win the titles, they don't have to pin Shelton Benjamin. They don't have to pin Bobby Lashley. They can beat the patriarchy.
Yes. I like that a lot. That's the one thing that I know Tony is probably looking forward to. I mean, Toronto All Out, I mean, it just kind of sets the stage for Christian and Copeland to get back together and wrestle FTR. That is a great backdrop for that feud coming to a close. So we'll see how that plays out. We got Dynamite and Collision on Wednesday and Thursday. Adam Cole, he will be defending the TNT Championship against Kyle Fletcher. If there's one match, listen, this is going to be a great match. They're both fantastic professional wrestlers. But if there's one match on the show that I don't think anybody genuinely gives a shit about, it's this one. Adam Cole, you call him Adam Cold. And I've been calling him Adam Cold for the last couple of weeks.
Well, Adam Cold or also the Collision Kid, because he's basically been, pretty much exclusive to Collision, him and the TNT title.
Yeah, that's another story by itself. But I feel bad for Adam Cole. He has not felt the same since he got injured. I mean, that injury just completely derailed all of his momentum. We were talking about him winning the World Championship, and that is nowhere in his future right now. I just feel bad for what had happened to him. He's such a great pro wrestler, and I just hope that he can eventually find his way again. Right now, he is ice cold. This, Jason, I feel like the TNT Championship to me is worthless. I know everybody is very high on Kyle Fletcher, and I know he's had some great matches with Okada, and he's had that series of matches with Ospreay. He's probably going to win the championship here, but I think this is a good early starting point for him to get some championship gold. I hope that this is not the case where he just kind of wins the championship and they just bring him to this level and don't advance him any further. That's what I fear. So he's going to win the title on Saturday, in my opinion. I just hope that AEW has a potential long-term vision for someone like Kyle Fletcher because he is worth more than the TNT title.
Yeah, I wouldn't call the TNT title worthless. It's definitely, it's not in a position now where it feels as valuable as it used to, not even close. So they definitely need to do something to try to rehab that. It's, Adam Cole's a great wrestler, but I don't see the TNT championship, I'm not going to look at that title any differently with Adam Cole as the champion the way things are right now. Kyle Fletcher is somebody who they really have made a new star in him. They really have. And I would like to see him take that next step, which is to hold a singles championship. So him winning this match, hopefully we don't see anything stupid like we did in their first match with that powerbomb spot, which was just incredibly dumb. But I see him winning. I think this could be a very good match. And I think that Kyle Fletcher winning the championship is the correct call here. And hopefully that's exactly what happens.
We have Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay. They will team up against the Young Bucks, Matthew Jackson and Nicholas Jackson. This is a tag team match with some stipulations here. If Ospreay and Strickland lose, they cannot challenge for the AEW World Championship for 1 calendar year. That's 365 days. If the Young Bucks lose, they will be stripped of their executive vice president titles and no longer will be EVPs. Now, I'm glad that they made sense of this, Jason, because the week prior, they kind of laid out the match, and they didn't really give us a reason to care outside of it just being these 4 guys feuding over what we've been seeing. At least now we finally got some stipulations, and I kind of floated it on Wednesday to Jesse that stipulation could be that if Ospreay and Swerve win, that the Young Bucks don't get involved with Jon Moxley in the main event, which was, just something that I floated out there. But I like what they did a lot better on Wednesday. And we got the World Championship situation for both Ospreay and Swerve, and then the executive vice president titles here for both Matt and Nick Jackson. I honestly think with what we're getting here, and I said this to Jesse on Wednesday, I think the Bucks win. I think Ospreay and Swerve not challenging for the championships on the surface looks like it's like, how could they do that? They're 2 of the most over guys in the company, 2 huge baby faces for the company. I think this is not a Cody Rhodes situation. It's not like they won't be challenging ever again for the championship. It's just 1 year. They have a bloated roster and a lot of people waiting to break through to that main event scene. If you take Ospreay and Swerve out of the picture, it's not going to be as detrimental as people think it's going to be. And the reason why I say that is because with the Bucks winning, I do think that Swerve will blame Ospreay for not getting him a championship opportunity for the next 365 days. Because if you saw Swerve on Wednesday, he didn't want to go through with this. Ospreay just threw it out there, and Swerve was like, what the fuck are you doing, man? I don't really want to do this. And he eventually ended up agreeing to it. I do think Swerve, at the end of this match, turns on Ospreay. And I think at the end of the show, I think Swerve turns on Hangman, because if he can't get a championship match, Hangman's not going to win a championship. And they will continue feuding, and I do think that for a good couple of months, we'll get Hangman, Swerve, and Ospreay battling it out. I think we get another Ospreay and Swerve match. I think they will keep themselves busy for a good chunk of the year, and I do think that Swerve eventually turns on Hangman, and neither Hangman or Swerve get a world championship until they kind of come to blows at some point. I'm going with Swerve turning heel on everybody, and I'm going the Bucks winning the match here at All In.
Yeah, the thing with Ospreay not being able to challenge for the championship for a year, I would be less concerned with him, more concerned about Swerve not being able to challenge for the title for an entire year, and what do you do with him? Even if he goes heel, do you really want to handcuff yourself like that? With Ospreay, the timing of it, they're going to go back to Wembley for All In next year.
Yeah.
If they wanted to save that first world title win for that show, they have that built-in story. He could be in the Owen next year. He could win the Owen, which he fell short of this year. Him not being able to challenge for the title for a year would not preclude him from being in the Owen, because by the time the championship match were to happen, it would be over a year, and he could win the title on that show. So that works. I am going with the Young Bucks to win. I feel like we're setting up for a major babyface win, and therefore not all of the babyfaces are going to have a happy night. I don't think it'll be a happy night for Swerve and Ospreay, and I think the Bucks are going to win, and I'm not thrilled about it, because honestly, I think the EVP stuff on TV is just so played out, and I think it would be nice to kind of eliminate that and have them not be EVPs and going around abusing their power, but I feel like this is going to be a win for the Young Bucks.
Yeah, I know the EVP thing is played out, but what else do they do if they lose their titles of EVPs? I mean, it's their whole gimmick. It's like they have to rebrand themselves again, and what do they rebrand themselves to?
Oh, well, gee golly, I guess they'll just have to rebrand themselves as tag team wrestlers in the tag team division, the Young Bucks. They'll still be the founding fathers of the company. They'll still be the elder statesmen there, but they just won't be EVPs going around as heels, abusing their power, which is... Look, I mean, it's no different than the Authority in WWE. That got old too. And so at some point, it would be nice to kind of get away from that. So if the Young Bucks are unable to be compelling characters on TV without being EVPs, what does that say for the Young Bucks?
Maybe they shouldn't be on TV.
I don't think they need to be EVPs. I think they'll be okay if we get away from that.
Well, if that's the point, if that's the case, maybe they shouldn't be on TV anymore. But I don't know. I'm going with the Bucks here as well. This was supposed to be Swerve and Hangman, and Ospreay should have been in the World Championship match, but they flipped the roles here very late in the game.
We assume.
Yeah.
We assume. We don't know that for a fact, but it feels that way.
Yeah.
It feels like the decision on who to go with in the Owen was probably a late call.
Yeah.
Because it could have gone either way. So if it had gone the other way, then yes, it would have been Hangman in this position.
We got the Casino Gauntlet matches.
Before we get into that, they did add a match to their show, which is for the trios titles. We should mention that.
Oh, God damn it. I was looking forward to 8 matches, man.
It's not official, but the segment that aired on Collision was in the back, and it had Claudio throwing out the challenge to the Ops. And then Wheeler Yuta was there. What's going on with him? His fucking hair. He looks like Cousin It on these shows, man. He's growing this hair out. He looks like Bigfoot now when he pops up on these shows. I don't know what he's going for here, this look. But they threw the challenge out, and so I don't know if it's been made official, but he's not throwing the challenge out unless the match is going to happen. So the question then is, does Pac come back? Is he ready to come back? And it's Claudio, Pac, and Yuta? Is there somebody else in that spot? Do they plug Gabe Kidd in that spot? Because what I think is going to happen is I think that the Ops are losing the trios titles back to the Death Riders because Hook is going to screw them out of those championships.
Well, what if Hook is the third tag team partner?
Well, I was wondering about that, but that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Why you're going to have Hook win the trios titles and effectively join the Death Riders?
Why not, man?
That sounds like a fucking terrible idea.
Listen, I mean, I just threw it out there as a possibility. I would like to see what you originally stated happened, because the last time we saw Hook was during Anarchy in the Arena, and all he did was throw his hands in the air, and we havenin't seen anything or heard anything since.
Yeah,
so it's like, clearly, I think this is the right move to make, yes.
Yeah, clearly with the look on his face when he walked out in that match, I mean, he helped them, but then he walked away. He looked very unhappy with Joe and the Ops. So, yeah, there's something going on there, but so I don't know if he'll be the third man on their team, but I do think that if this match happens, and it sounds like it will, he probably in some way will screw over the Ops, and we're probably going to have new trios champions, which would just mean that the Death Riders, regardless of what happens in the main event, the Death Riders will live on. So I'm not thrilled about that, but that's what I think is going to happen.
I think it's too early for Pac to come back. That injury just that looked fucking terrible. So I don't think he's going to be back soon. I think Gabe Kidd gets plugged in there. And I think we get those 3 guys winning back the Trios Championships because of Hook, okay. Yes. Men's and women's Casino Gauntlet. We'll start with the ladies. Tony Khan was on the call today with the journalists in the community, and he did mention that Athena and Thunder Rosa could be in the women's Gauntlet match. So I'm assuming that they will both be in Texas on Saturday after their women's championship match on Friday for Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor. So that's that.
Oh, another show.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're not talking about it, so we don't have to worry about it. I don't know who's going to be in this. We don't have a list of participants. You would assume that what we've seen on television, we'll get Athena, Thunder Rosa. We'll see.
We know two people that will. Well, we know who's entering at number 1, yes, right? So we have Chris Statlander, yes, entering at number 1. Now they're having a 4-way match tomorrow night to to decide on who's going to be entering number 2. And let's see how good my memory is, because I don't have it in front of me. I know it's Tekla, Megan Bain. Is it Penelope Ford?
I don't have it pulled up in front of me. We'll see.
I want to say maybe not Penelope Ford. It might be Anna Jay and Ty Mello. But I know Tekla and Megan Bain are in there. I figure Tekla wins the 4-way, and we probably open the gauntlet with Statlander and Tekla. And then the other women in that match, they may not be number 2, but I'm sure they'll be in the gauntlet. So we have at least some sense of some of the names that will be in there. But yes, the vast majority, and that's the way these matches work, it typically is a surprise. But being a casino gauntlet, I think the idea is that you have up to 21 women. And they're not going to get to 21 because the match is one fall to a finish. But the majority of them we will not know until match time.
It is Megan Bayne, Tay Mello, Queen Aminata, and Tekla. Yes.
Okay. Queen Aminata.
I could see Megan Bayne winning that one.
I think Tekla wins.
Okay. All of these women I could see in the battle battle royal, the gauntlet match.
Well, I think Tekla wins, and I think that I have Megan Bayne winning the gauntlet.
Okay. I have no problem with that at all. I could see that very well taking place, but yes. What about Willow?
Well, so this is what I said when I did my preview the other day. If the championship changes hands, the world championship changes hands, then I think Willow Nightingale wins the gauntlet.
Okay. I could see that. I like that idea. I think Willow's time has come, honestly. I think she needs to be further along than she is. She's not really doing much of anything. But I like that. All these women I would see in the battle royal, or I keep calling it the battle royal, the fucking gauntlet match. It's basically what it is. I mean, it's just fucking pinfalls to determine a winner. I could see all these women. Does Athena, any chance Athena wins this match on Saturday?
I don't see it.
Even if she loses to Thunder Rosa?
You really think that she's been champion for like 1,000 days? You think she's going to lose to Thunder Rosa?
All good things must come to an end, man. Come on.
Not the Thunder Rosa.
No? Okay.
I like Thunder Rosa, but I don't see that run coming to an end at the hands of Thunder Rosa on Friday. I just don't see it happening. Now, if she does lose the championship, I think that increases her chances exponentially of winning on Saturday. She better be in that gauntlet. I mean, for her to not be on that show would be a slap in the face.
Well, she made a public statement that she wanted to be there, and she would be very sad if she didn't. So,
of course she would be.
Yeah.
Of course she would be. She's from Texas. She runs her own indie down there. She's a Texas girl, and she's wrestling in Texas the night before at a much smaller show. Why would you not include her in some way on this card? This will be the only match that you can really plug her into, unless they throw her on the pre-show.
Should be no problem at all to put her in this match. I mean, it's innocent enough.
No, so hopefully she'll be in there. Look, in a perfect world, she would win, but I just, you know what? I've been burned before predicting that, okay, they're going to do this with her, or now's the time, and then they don't do it. And I don't know what Tony Khan's vision is for her as the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, how far he wants to take this. But I'm done predicting that Athena is going to do this and Athena is going to do that. I hope she makes it into the match, but I don't see her winning it.
Jamie Hayter coming back on Saturday?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
I feel like she might be hurt a little worse than we think.
Well, WrestleVotes is also saying, as far as the ladies here, that AEW is heavily interested in bringing in Isla Dawn. Now, she would, I think she would actually, I don't know if she would be ready, actually, for this show. Was she released with the Dakota Kai releases, or was she released early?
Isla Dawn, I want to say she was released in November. I think she was released.
That's right.
Yeah, she was released a while ago. But like when it comes to Shayna Baszler and people like that, they're still within their 90 days.
Yeah, I could see Isla Dawn showing up if that's the case.
But then again, if someone like a Cora Jade, she was in NXT, she would have only had a 30-day non-compete.
And she's ready to go now. There you go.
She's starting to do indies, so.
Yeah, she's doing indies. Shotzi's going to be in town. I don't know if Tony's going to use her because she does have a broken arm, and she's still wrestling Matt Cardona on MLW. So I don't know what's going on there.
Does she have a broken arm, or is that? I thought that was just part of a.
I don't know. I thought it was too, but knowing her, if she got a broken arm, I don't doubt that she's going to wrestle anyway. Who gives a shit? Yeah, but the ladies. It's easy to pick Megan Bayne. I think Jason might be correct. I think they got to just heat her back up, and she's just too dominant to not be featured. If not Megan, I'm going Willow. It's just I think it's Willow's time. So that's the ladies, and I do think we'll see at least one or two surprises or returns for that match. The men's, the men's is a little bit more fruitful, I would say, because there's a lot of different ways that they could go.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know you mentioned that Eddie Kingston it looks like he may be on that verge of coming back. We don't really know. But I did factor him into at least maybe showing up in the main event and costing Jon Moxley, being that they have a history there, because we're going to see a whole bunch of interferences. So I could see him in the Battle Royal. I keep calling it the fucking Battle Royal. The Gauntlet match.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know. The Gauntlet match.
I only made that mistake once. That's like your third time now.
I know. The Gauntlet match. I could see Eddie Kingston in there. Darby is obviously a shoo-in. I think he shows up at some point on the night. I'm putting him in there in the Gauntlet. I don't know. Mystico was announced. MJF is announced as one of the first guys. Briscoe's in there as well. He's going to be number 2. I don't know. Where you going?
Briscoe's number 1, and MJF is number. I mean, it's basically the same thing.
Whatever.
So they're opening the match. MJF would be the easy pick here. I don't think it's going to be MJF. Mystico was announced for the Gauntlet. I think that Mystico will factor into MJF not winning this. Because we saw what happened in Arena Mexico, where MJF, you know, he kicked him low, I think, and then he stole the mask and embarrassed him in his home country. And then they did this angle, which I don't know how much input AEW had into it, but they did this angle at the MLW show where MJF came out and attacked Mystico there as well. And he said that you and I are not finished. I'm going to embarrass you and embarrass Mexico and all this stuff. And I think all roads lead to them having a match probably in CMLL in a few months, their anniversary show. But him being in the battle... Motherfuckers. Now you got me doing it. Him being in the Gauntlet match, I think that this is where he gets a measure of revenge on MJF and prevents him from winning this match. So I don't think MJF is going to win. I did mention Eddie Kingston's name. I think we might see a Jay White appearance here as well. I would like to see him. I don't know how far along he is in his recovery from whatever the injury is, but
it was a broken hand.
Like him. Was it a broken hand? Okay. Yeah. So, right, because previously I think it was a broken foot when he was out last time. So someone like him, Juice Robinson, I could see those people showing up in the Battle Royal. Gauntlet match. We should have a counter. We should have a damn counter in the corner of the screen.
I told you, man. It's what I don't know what it is, man. It's just it rolls off the tongue easier. It's like Gauntlet match, Battle Royal.
So what happened when you have too much wrestling in one weekend?
I know. My brain is fucking fried, honestly. So,
so I did mention Eddie Kingston. He has been recovering from some very serious injuries, but it's been over a year. I've been following his training videos that he's been doing with Cesar Bonani on his channel.
Yes.
And he's about ready to come back. It's just a matter of, you know, which show he pops up on. I made a bold prediction, or somewhat bold prediction on my show. I think Eddie Kingston returns in the Gauntlet. I think Eddie Kingston wins the Gauntlet. He's my pick to win this entire thing.
It's easy to pick MJF here. I'd love to see him win it. I don't think he's going to win it. I'm going to go with Darby Allin winning the Gauntlet match.
See, I don't think Darby is going to be in the Gauntlet. I think they're going to save his appearance for the main event.
I could see that also playing out. I just cannot wrap my head around because the way that they were setting it up, and I know it was his own choice to climb Mount Everest, and I don't know if Tony's completely abandoned those plans. But you just got a sense of the plans where Darby coming back and winning the championship from Jon Moxley. I don't want to say that they would do Hangman that dirty, because I do think that Hangman deserves the championship, and I think he could be the guy to at least hold the fort down for at least 6 months there with the world championship. But with Swerve turning heel, in my prediction, being the best course of action for him, and him costing Hangman because he can't have it, so why would Hangman have it? I just think Moxley, I for some reason, I just get a sense that Tony's going to fucking absolutely kill us and have Moxley retain, only for Darby to cash in that contract and win the title and send us home happy.
Well, I have an idea. You just triggered an idea in my brain.
Yeah.
What if they open the show, or sometime earlier in the show, they do the Young Bucks match, right? And the Young Bucks win. And now Swerve and Ospreay cannot challenge for the championship for an entire year. And what you said. Maybe Swerve goes heel. He attacks Ospreay. He blames him for the loss, right?
Yeah.
What if Swerve enters himself into the Gauntlet later in the show and he wins the Gauntlet? Now he's guaranteed himself a future World Championship match. That would supersede the stipulation from the other match, would it not?
I don't know what it. I don't know. I mean, it sounds fucking crazy, but I mean, what in the 365 days you can't challenge for the World Championship kind of overrule him getting a contract for the World Championship because he would be challenging for it anyway.
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, you would think, okay, this guy's shit out of luck, but if he enters himself into the Gauntlet and actually wins, I would think that would take precedent, and he would have, a guaranteed championship match whenever he wants. And as a heel,
and then Hangman wins the championship and he cashes in on Hangman?
Well, I mean, let's not get carried away. I mean, maybe you could do something like that, but or if Hangman wins the title, he could challenge him at some point for it. But that would be a very clever, sort of interesting way of going about things, especially if he does go heel. Kind of a heelish thing to do.
That would certainly be thinking outside the box, which I don't think AEW is capable of on most nights. But it's certainly an option. Throw it all out on the table,
Just a thought.
Yeah, I'm sticking with my guns here. I think. Listen, I love Hangman. I've been calling for this shit since last year, but I think Tony just beats us down and fucking trolls us so hard that Moxley retains only for Darby to save the day. And I do think that with what you talked about. Darby showing up in the main event and helping Hangman win the championship and Moxley's no more. I think we see Darby do that, and we see the help from Sting. And Sting is there with Darby winning the World Championship.
I want to address, what a great name, Beard Belichick in the chat. Shout out to Beard Belichick. He says, but how would he enter himself? He would beat somebody up who's on their way out for the Gauntlet. Beat them up, take their spot.
Listen, man, I'm a sucker for unpredictability. If that happened, man, I'd be like, you know what? That's a fucking creative idea, man.
If that actually does happen, you remember where you heard it first.
Well, someone's clearly watching the show then, which at that point I don't blame them. So, we'll see. I'm going Darby. Jason's going Eddie Kingston. We'll see what happens. I like the Gauntlet matches. I do hope that we don't get an overabundance of Gauntlet matches because Tony, when he sees the fan base really kind of excited about something, he just beats us over the head with it. This match should be on this night, on this show only. That's it. I would love to see it an annual thing, and we don't see 5 of them throughout the year. So keep it special.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, if at some point during the year on TV you want to have a like a tag team gauntlet. I think they did one of those before.
Yeah.
That's fine. But like doing one every 2 months or something, that would be too much.
Yes. Kazuchika Okada, the current Continental Champion. He is coming into this match with Kenny Omega on Saturday. Kenny Omega is the International Champion. We are crowning a new unified champion. Now, I don't know if Jason heard the unfortunate news here.
Oh, I heard it.
I heard it. You heard
earlier today.
I'll leave it up to you to grace us with this terrible news.
Well, I mean, it's just look. There was a question. there was a question asked about how this whole unified title situation is going to work, and so Tony Khan clarified, which honestly just made it more convoluted to me. But he clarified exactly what the situation is, which is that the international title and the continental title, which you would assume are effectively like their lineage and everything is being retired, but they're not really being retired, he said. And so their lineage will continue even after All In. And he even said that the winner of this match could potentially still carry around all 3 belts.
We're going back to the Eddie Kingston days of him winning the Continental Classic, bro.
Yes, and he did also confirm the Continental Classic is returning in November, which I figured, and usually the Continental Classic is great, so that's fine. But my question is this. It's like when I hear this, I guess what he's going for, because this is probably what Tony loves, he's probably going for the whole All Japan Triple Crown thing where the guy carries around 3 belts. I was thinking about this because we saw something similar in WWE when Brock and Roman, right? When Roman beat Brock and he became the unified champion, he carried around both belts. They didn't create a new belt for him right away. He just carried those 2 championships around. Eventually, they created one new belt for him, and he ditched the other 2 because it wouldn't have made sense to just carry all 3 of them around. So it's not exactly the same thing. What would be the purpose of creating a brand new belt if that's what you're going to do? I don't understand that.
I don't know, man.
Why not just have them carry around the international title then and the Continental title? Why even go through the exercise of creating a 3rd belt if this is what you're going to do?
Because this is for the sickos, bro. This is not for us.
I guess so.
We're not sickos. We're not labeled as sickos. Listen, the only thing Tony needed to do was get rid of the Continental Championship, because the only reason why he created it was to put it on Okada. Let's be real, for this match. Get rid of the Continental title. Keep the International Championship. Have that operate as your Intercontinental title, the second biggest title next to the AEW Championship, which conveniently has been held away in a fucking briefcase since October. Hopefully we see it on Saturday. Have that be the only title in your mid-card next to the TBS title. And when the Continental Classic rolls around, the winner of that tournament gets a #1 contendership and a world title shot at Revolution. Why is that so difficult to do? It makes the Continental Classic feel important. We're not putting the champion in the tournament and having them wrestle in the tournament. And you're getting rid of one championship that is not needed on television. Why is this so difficult to do?
Well, I mean, look, even if they really wanted to have, that title, you can still have a Continental title, but it doesn't get defended as a regular championship year round. It could just be something that you win as part of what you earn by winning the tournament, in addition to, let's say, a world championship match. So you can still have a physical belt. It's like that Crown Jewel title we were just talking about in WWE. You could have something like that, but again, they carry it around all year long as just another title. It's so unnecessary. But like I was listening to this and just trying to understand what the logic is behind even creating this new belt that they just spent money on, if that's what they're going to do, and potentially just have them carry 3 belts around. It just seems very silly and unnecessary to me.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Hopefully we get some answers coming out of this match. I hope that's not the case, but knowing Tony, it probably is.
So are we going to have Omega or Okada carrying 3 belts around, and then Mercedes carrying 5 or 6 belts around? And I mean, we're just going to have
it's a great visual.
Different people holding multiple championships.
I don't know. It's fucking ridiculous. Listen, I'm looking forward to this match.
I mean, it's going to be a tremendous. Now, have you seen all of their previous matches?
The ones I've seen. The G1
have you seen any of their previous matches?
The G1 matches I haven't seen. The first, I think I've seen the first and the second match. I didn't see 3 and 4.
Okay. They had one G1 match, which was an excellent match, and it was half the time of most of their other matches, and they had to condense more of it into like 24 minutes or whatever it was, but it was great.
I seen the first match and then the 60-minute match I seen.
The last match was 2 out of 3 falls, which I think ended up being like 65 minutes maybe.
Okay.
And me personally, like I was never bored by any of their matches. There was just something about their chemistry in the ring, bell to bell. Every match they had felt epic. And they were just tremendous professional wrestling matches, and they built to this crazy climax there towards the end, and it was just great. And honestly, it was some of the greatest matches that I've ever seen as a wrestling fan. So these two come into this match with some big shoes to fill, shoes of their own making, their own shoes. It's been many years since they've stepped in the ring together. Okada's older, Omega's older. Omega went through a near-death experience. But he came back in January against Gabe Kidd, and it was like he never left. Like, that match they had at the Tokyo Dome was fucking awesome. So I have no doubts that we will see, the best bout machine version of Kenny Omega show up on Saturday. Okada, you hear a lot of people talk about how he's, coasting in AEW, and are we going to see New Japan Okada? Yeah, he's coasting because, again, he's not going out there having 30 and 40-minute matches every week. It's different when you're wrestling on TV. And also, I think he realizes that he doesn't have to go out there and break his back in these matches every single week. But this match here, And the person he's in the ring with, this should bring the very best out of this guy. We're going to see New Japan Okada on Saturday. You put these two in the ring together, and this has the potential to be the match of the year.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I'm not a fucking savant in New Japan lore. I've seen a couple of their matches. I know how good each guy is. If I can make a comparison here to what this means for someone who is looking from the outside looking in for this type of match and what it means to me as compared to someone else. When I first watched Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega in the ring at Arthur Ashe Stadium, I was blown away. And I wasn't really, all that up on Kenny Omega's lore and the history of Kenny Omega. I just knew of Kenny Omega. I've seen some of his work. Obviously, I knew Bryan Danielson coming over from WWE. But that match, that moment, that spectacle in front of 20,000 New York fans was fucking tremendous. We got holy shit chants before the bell even rang. One of the greatest moments in the company's history. I do think we're going to get a similar feel and a similar environment in Texas on Saturday afternoon. And you can sit there and say, yeah, Okada's coasting or has coasted. Jason is correct. He doesn't need to do that. He's a smart guy. Why break your fucking back on television in a 10-minute match when, you don't need to do that anymore and save it for shit like this? He just gets it. I do feel like Okada was brought into the company for this specific moment. And I think it's going to be the ultimate payoff for Tony as a fan and as a promoter. I think they're both going to show up and give us the absolute best version of themselves here in AEW. And I do hope that after this match is over, that Tony and AEW knows what to do with Okada after this, because this is the reason why he's here. We got Takeshita looming. That's another thing that I'd love to see. I'm very excited about that as they've teased it on television. I think this is going to be the match of the night. I think this is going to go upwards towards 30, 35 minutes. I don't think Tony's going to give them any less than that. They're going to go out there and break their fucking bodies and give us their souls. I'm going Kenny Omega winning the Unified Championship, and I think Okada moves on to Takeshita. I think that's the plan, and I'm very much looking forward to that. I'm excited. Genuinely, I'm excited to see this.
I had predicted a Kenny Omega win on Sunday. I think I'm going to change my pick. And I think I'm going to go with Okada to win. Because I think it just works better if you're going to move on to Okada and Takeshita if Okada is the champion. And so when Takeshita challenges him, Takeshita, not Kenny, but Takeshita is the one. Not that Okada is undefeated, but he's mostly been protected in this run. He's lost maybe 2 matches in his entire AEW run so far. I think it would be better if you save that win for Takeshita.
I like that a lot better, too. That makes a lot of sense.
Because Kenny doesn't really need it. So I'm going to change my pick to Okada winning because I just think it makes more sense booking-wise.
What happens to Omega after this? Does he take a more reduced role?
Yeah, I think we'll see him. I don't think we'll see him on weekly television. I think he becomes that guy, I say part-time, but like we don't need to see him every week. I think you use him selectively. Especially because, coming off the diverticulitis and everything, and I was watching part of the interview he just did with The Observer. He gave like a 90-minute video interview. It's up on their YouTube channel. It's really well done, and he really gets into some of the stuff physically that he had to go through. And it takes a lot out of you. He can still go, clearly, but like I don't know about him being like full-time weekly TV. I think you save him for special matches, special programs with select people. You'd be very selective with him. Like if he wins, then what? You know what I mean? Like, doesn't it make more sense if you're going to do Okada and Takeshita at some point coming out of this show, that the championship, that new unified title should be on the line?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Because if Kenny wins, I'm just wondering, like, okay, where to next for him?
And it's a big deal for Takeshita to beat Okada, but what else is there but beating Okada? It's like, do you want to put him over with just a win or winning a championship over one of the best wrestlers of all time?
Yeah, and if you're going to do that, if you're going to do him and Okada, then I would assume that means that Takeshita is breaking away from the Callis family. He's probably going babyface.
Yeah.
So better for him to beat a heel and Okada to win the championship.
I don't know. It's a funny situation. I could see Kenny taking a reduced schedule. Okada, if he does win and gets Takeshita and he loses to Takeshita, what does that mean for Okada in AEW? I mean, is this the end game for Okada in AEW? What does he do after this year? Does he also take a reduced role?
Yeah, he's another one. I don't think we need him on television every single week. I think you just use him selectively. I mean, I'm sure he signed a long-term deal, so I mean, he's not going anywhere, but that's up to Tony to just pick and choose the right opponents for him. It's very similar to Kenny.
Yeah.
I think they both kind of fall into that same category.
We will see. I like that idea. I'm still sticking with Kenny. Jason's going Okada. It should be a spectacle on Saturday afternoon. Timeless Tony Storm will defend the AEW's Women's Championship against Mercedes Moné. This is, without question, the biggest women's match that the company has ever put on a pay-per-view in 5.5 years. I know this is dividing the fan base on what they think will happen here. Will Tony win? Will Mercedes win? I mean, you can make arguments for both, and both are very fair arguments. Before we get into the predictions here, I will say Mercedes' body of work, no matter what you think of the woman and the fact that she's holding more championships than you can fucking count, I think Mercedes' body of work has really spoken for itself. Speaks for itself here. She is a tremendous pro wrestler. She always has been. I've been on that train since the early days of NXT. And if there's one thing that I've preached to the choir here in regards to Mercedes, is that the woman loves what she does and she loves professional wrestling, and she's always wanted to make an impact. That Bayley match in Brooklyn still stands as the greatest women's match of all time. And what it means not only for Sasha and Bayley, but what it meant for WWE, because without that match, I don't think WWE is looking at women's wrestling the way that they are today. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Mercedes wants to beat that, and she wants to create that moment in 2025. Will Saturday afternoon be that moment? She's going to fucking die trying. I know she is. I think they come close. And I do think that this is going to be their Sasha Bayley moment, Jason, on Saturday. But in the end, we've talked about it extensively. Until I physically see it with my own eyes and that woman is laying on her back looking at the lights, I cannot predict anything else but a Mercedes win. Now, we can sit here and talk about the Women's Championship and the TBS title. What happens if she holds both of the Women's Championships? That's another discussion that could be a whole podcast topic. But if you look at the other side and you give it to Tony beating Mercedes, what does that do? Is that the right move? Because you would think realistically that if Mercedes has accumulated all these championships and this undefeated streak, that you want to put someone younger over and create the biggest star possible. Why would you do that with Tony when she's already probably one of the biggest stars in all of women's wrestling? I mean, none of it really makes sense, and I genuinely feel that they've sacrificed so many women to get to this point. And I think either decision here is going to be a detriment to the division. Now, that's just my take. I'm going Mercedes until I see the woman physically lose. I can't bet against her. I'm going Mercedes to win the Women's Championship.
I think that you mentioned the Brooklyn Takeover match with Sasha and Bayley. It kind of reminds me of I think it was Lanny Poffo who mentioned that his brother was always chasing after that next big match that could top the match that Savage had with Steamboat at WrestleMania 3. So I don't know what Mercedes in her mind considers to be her very best match. It might be that Brooklyn match. Maybe there's been another one that's topped it. So I'm sure she's going in there with the attitude of, I want this to be the best and biggest match that I've ever had. I'm sure they both are. So I expect that this match is going to be excellent. You've got two excellent performers. I'm looking forward to the match itself. I thought that she would have dropped the TBS championship by now. I even floated the possibility, hey, maybe they'll have Mina beat her last week on Dynamite 300 and Tony can cost her the TBS title. That takes care of that problem, right? She doesn't have that title anymore. And she won again. So she's coming into this match as the TBS champion, right? It would be the equivalent of somebody like Hogan Warrior, where Warrior came in as the Intercontinental champion, right? And Hogan came in as the world champion. Would it have really made sense for Hogan to win the Intercontinental title in that match, right? Probably not. In this case, the TBS title is not on the line, though. This is only for the World Championship. I'm probably, betting against everybody else in this case, but I feel like this is a timeless Toni Storm win in this match. I feel like at some point, Mercedes has to lose. If she wins this match, she has both titles. Do you then have her just simply give up or have the TBS title stripped away from her? And that's how her TBS title run comes to an end, and they just have a tournament and they crown a new champ. Is that really the end game here? Or is it a case where she beats Toni Storm and then she's going to defend both belts? And so when she finally loses, she loses only the TBS title. Well, that would be pretty stupid, wouldn't it? If she finally gets beat, but it's for the lesser of the two titles. This is the conundrum now that we kind of find ourselves in. And I'm sure Tony Khan in his head has, I would hope, has an idea for what he plans to do coming out of the show if he finds himself in this situation. I don't see the vision here. If you just have her go in there and win the world title and now she has both. I don't see how it benefits the women's division. I don't see what that next logical step is unless you strip her of the TBS title, and what a waste that would be. She has to lose at some point. That begins something of either a downward spiral, or it just shows that, you know what, she's mortal. She's not unbeatable. She can be defeated. And I think that's what we're going to see here. I think she's going to lose to Toni Storm, and her world title win will come, but it's going to have to wait for another day. And maybe I'm in the minority on this, but that's what I believe.
You make sense. I don't want to sit here and say,
I always make sense.
You always do. I agree. I have floated the idea out there, and I mean, I might have been on an island all to myself here. I know I've mentioned it here, and you didn't really kind of buy into it. But do you see now that we're in July and before October rolls around? I mean, it'll be here before you know it. Do you see them putting both belts on Mercedes and doing exactly what you said? And we've come so close. Why would they take the belt off her now and have her beat Jade Cargill's TBS title record so that Mercedes is number one and it's not held by a now WWE star as the longest reigning TBS champion? Is that a possibility for them? Is that something in their head that they're thinking about?
Well, I mean, now that we've gotten so much closer, yeah, sure. Because that would be what, October? I think that she would. Okay, so we're close enough now that if you factor that into this and you believe that, okay, they want her to set the all-time record as the longest reigning TBS champion of all time. To me, that's even worse if she wins here. Because if she wins the title here, they're not going to want to beat her, at least until she drops that TBS title. If they want her to break that record, then she just wins the world title on Saturday and continues beating everybody and staying undefeated for at least 3 more months. What does that accomplish?
The division's going to be fucking long gone after that point.
I just can't see it. I don't, like, there's no way. There's no way.
AEW was squandered making a new star here. That's the biggest takeaway for me. If Mercedes wins, it kills the division even further. If Tony wins, who's actually getting over here? What are you doing?
Well, I mean, if Tony wins and I'm right and Megan Bayne wins the Gauntlet,
sure,
then you could always. Now we've seen it already because they gave the shot to Megan Bayne so early in her run, but she doesn't have to, quote unquote, cash in her opportunity right away. They could circle back around to it. They can get that title on Megan Bayne and really, go all the way with her. So, and maybe it's not Bayne, maybe somebody else. Because remember, we have those Gauntlet matches, and the winners will be able to get a future championship match. So there's somebody out there, whether it's Megan Bayne or somebody else, who can beat Toni Storm at some point, as Mariah May did, and they can try to make a new star and get the title on somebody else. It doesn't have to be Mercedes. That's what I'm counting on here. That Tony will retain, and that it will be somebody else who ends up in that spot, and Mercedes can go on to, again, if they want her to break the record, she'll be TBS champion into the fall. If they don't give a shit about that, this could be the beginning of her downfall, where she comes back down to earth and she loses this title and she drops that title and she goes back to Sweden or Austria, wherever the fuck it was that she won that EWA title, and she dropped. Like, it could be the start of a whole new story with her. But I just feel like they've sort of boxed themselves in by not taking this title off of her beforehand. And I think the right move to make here is for Toni Storm to win this match.
When does this match go on? Does it go on later in the night or earlier in the evening here?
I think it goes on later in the night.
Okay. Listen, I mean, it's a big match. It is something that everybody's going to keep an eye on. I'm going Mercedes. Jason's going Tony. We will see what happens. It's certainly going to create discussion, which is only a good thing after Saturday. And the main event, Jon Moxley will defend the AEW World Championship against Adam Hangman Page, who won the Owen Hart Memorial Cup. This is now a Texas death match. I thought the setup for the Texas death match on Wednesday was really good stuff. They finally got some excitement into this where I feel like Hangman's out there cutting a promo on Moxley, and they're just kind of retreading the same thing that we hear from Moxley week in and week out. It's always the same promo. But this is not the first Texas death match between these two. I think we've talked about this enough in the weeks leading, and we talked about who we think is going to win the men's gauntlet match. I'm sticking with my guns here. It's easy for me to say that, yes, this is going to be their Avengers Endgame, and this is going to be their take on WrestleMania 40 with Cody and Roman and all the interferences. We're definitely getting all of that. But I do think that Hangman is going to be screwed out of this moment. I'm sticking with my guns. I'm saying Swerve turns heel. I think Swerve can't get a title match, which in his mind, Hangman's not allowed to have the title. I think Darby wins the gauntlet. I think Darby is the savior and wins the AEW championship at the end of the night. I'm going Darby winning by cashing in the same night and beating Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship. I'd love to see Page win it. If he does, I'm not going to have a problem with that at all, because that means the end of Moxley's reign, which is something that everybody has prayed for. But I'm going outside the box. I'm going Darby winning the championship, and I think Jon Moxley beats Hangman here for the cash-in to happen at the end of the night.
And what a cheap way for Darby Allin to win his first championship.
I know.
And for this long 9 months or whatever, I think it's been about 9 months that Moxley now has been champion. I said on my show, I said childbirth is not as painful as this Death Riders run has been up to this point. I think that would be such a cheap way for it to come to an end after all this time. I'm going with Hangman Page to win the championship. I am maybe being naive, but I am relying on Tony Khan to do the right thing. We have had, in this run that Jon Moxley has been on, I mean, he's beaten a bunch of people. You know, he beat Orange Cassidy. He beat Hangman as part of a four-way back at World's End. He beat Swerve. He beat Copeland. He beat Samoa Joe. And so here we are now going into Texas. How many pay-per-views have we had this year? This is the first time in AEW's existence where we have had multiple pay-per-views, which are usually fantastic, right? They're pay-per-view. They know how to do pay-per-view more often than not. How many shows have we had in this run that have ended with just these eye-rolling, groan-inducing endings, which I'm more used to seeing on like WWE pay-per-views in the past? We've had a few of them in AEW.
With Dynasty being the most egregious of them all, by the way.
Right. Although I don't know that, what was the show? Was it Revolution? I know that Revolution was much better. So I have to believe, I want to believe, that the reason for all of this is because it's all building to this moment. It's all building to the big happy ending here on their biggest show of the year, one of their biggest shows of all time outside of the Wembley shows. This will be their biggest North American gate. They don't have a lot of stadium shows that they've done unless you count Arthur Ashe, which technically that is a stadium, but this is one of their biggest shows of all time. And we've had to sit through a lot of slop with Moxley and the Death Riders to get to this point. This is it right here. This is it. And Darby Allin, I know you think he's going to be in the gauntlet, and you think he's going to win the gauntlet and come back out. I think they save his return for this, because this will be, I like the fact that they just came right out on Wednesday and said, look, we acknowledge the fact, like the Death Riders are going to be involved. The Elite's going to be involved. We're going to see all of them, dude. We're going to see them. We're going to see the Ops. We're going to see maybe Swerve and or Ospreay will come out to try to help out. I think this is where we see Darby Allin. That's why they didn't acknowledge when he reached the top of the summit and he was literally flying the flag of AEW. Like, they never mentioned it on TV. Like, if that were me and somebody was flying the sound-off flag on the top of Mount Everest, dude, I'd be talking about it on every fucking stream. Like, I wouldn't shut up about it.
Yeah.
but they haven't said a word because they want him out of sight, out of mind for this moment here. With all of the interference, it's going to be overbooked to all hell, but this is what it's designed to be. And it will all build to Darby finally showing up, because that was the other thing we saw. Jon Moxley pushed him down a flight of stairs. We haven't seen him since. This is where we see him. And maybe Sting too, because I wouldn't be surprised to see Sting make a cameo either. It's Texas. He lives in Texas. It's a big show. So we're going to see all of these different people. They're all going to factor into things. And I think they want to send the crowd home happy on a show like this. I don't think that Tony wants to have another one of those endings where people are just angry or deflated or disappointed. They go home upset from the stadium. I don't think that that's what he wants. I think he wants to have that big epic finale. This right here is the culmination, in my view, of this Hangman Page story arc that we have been watching over the past couple of years. Like, all the stuff he went through with Swerve had to happen for him to get to this point. And so now we're here. And I think anything other than a Hangman Page win and ending this fucking reign would just be an epic failure.
Listen, I mean, that's probably what's going to end up happening. I know I'm thinking outside the box, but do you see Darby and Bryan Danielson showing up on Saturday night in the same match for both of those big pops to happen to stop Moxley, or is it going to be one or the other?
No. Danielson's another one. In fact, I think we see Danielson delivering a flying knee to Wheeler Yuta. Because Yuta's been the one who's been jacking that move ever since Bryan went out.
Yeah.
And we just saw Bryan take a bump after the the Ring of Honor taping at the Arena Mexico show, where he gave a flying knee to somebody. I forgot who it was. So him coming out here to deliver a Busaiku knee to Wheeler Yuta, or just help fight off the Death Riders, absolutely. We're gonna see all of these guys, dude. Everybody who has been affected or fucked over in some way by this group since October of last year will be involved here in some form or fashion.
All right, let me ask you this: if Moxley, if Swerve and Ospreay lose to the Bucks and Hangman wins, what does Hangman do for the next 12 months? You got MJF. You're
assuming that Hangman is going to be the champion for the next 12 months.
No, he's not going to be the champion for the next 12 months. But I'm just saying, like, what does he do for the remainder of the year? I don't see him losing the title immediately.
No, he'll be the champion. He'll have his challengers that he works with. I'm not going to list all 6 of them that he might be wrestling over the next 9 months or whatever, but he'll have his run as the champion. Who he's going to lose the title to, I don't know. If Moxley retains the championship, then it almost has to be Darby that he loses to. And then you could ask the same question. Okay, if Darby beats Moxley, then what? How long of a run does Darby get?
I don't say more than a month.
Who does he lose the title to?
MJF? Yeah.
Shouldn't MJF win the gauntlet then?
He was one of my top choices to begin with, yeah.
I mean, there's so many different ways you can go with this. I mean, you could have Moxley retain and have Darby come back not in the gauntlet, but get that title match with Moxley in a couple of months, and then after Darby wins the championship, finally he gets all of 2 minutes to celebrate before MJF cashes in and beats him for the belt. Like, we've talked about the different scenarios that could be played out here. So I mean, we could be here all night doing that, yeah. But I'm not even looking so much as like 6 months ahead for Hangman. What does he do? Where does he go? Part of me is just like, get this fucking title off of Jon Moxley. That should be priority number 1. Priority number 1 should be get the title away from Jon Moxley. Number 2, get the title on Hangman, because he won the Owen. He got the shot. He went with him instead of Ospreay, so he's the guy. Get the championship on him, and then you can go from there. I don't even care what comes next. I don't. I really don't care what even comes next. That's for Tony to figure out. But to me, the moment is Hangman winning the title, the Cowboy winning the championship in Texas. That's the moment. That's the payoff at the end of this show.
Well, they got options. It's something that they don't usually have is options. They have many options here, and I feel like they need to make the right decision. Either way, I agree. Moxley needs to lose the championship. It's been a reign of terror. One of the worst reigns in company history. One of the worst storylines in company history. Though it got started off horribly and somehow has actually been okay for the last couple of months. But outside that, it needs to come to an end. But thank you guys. Hopefully we set you up correctly for what's happening this weekend. That is your full menu of pro wrestling shows on Saturday and Sunday.
Yes, and all of the battle royals on Saturday.
And all the battle royals on Saturday. Yes, it's going to be a great day for battle royals. Thank you guys for a great stream. We got 822 likes. We're going to get into your super chats now. If you would be so kind to hit that thumbs up, we would love 1,000 likes. That's the goal. So please do that if you're in the chat. There's 2,300 plus in here. I know it's been a relatively slow summer thus far. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. There's 2,300. We should absolutely have 1,000 likes. So I know there's another 175 of you that's not hit the thumbs up. So please do so. Super chats are open. They will remain open. Everything you need as far as our socials and our YouTube and all our information, everything you need is linked down below. Also, if you guys want a t-shirt, new shirt is now available. Bonfire.com is the exclusive home of TNT, the Tuesday Night Titans, the best of the best of the best. Make sure you guys go get that. It's on the storefront, or if you're watching on YouTube or a mobile device, you guys can see the store right underneath the video player. Click the shirt. It should be the first or second shirt down there. I would really appreciate it. Jason would as well. Let's get into these super chats. If I could pull up the super chats. Thank you, YouTube. We'll start with Michelle with a 5. Does it feel like TK wants to rid AEW of all the originals? If so, then how long before he dumps the likes of the Elite, MJF, and even Darby? Well, he's not dumping any of them. Darby will be there, I think, till the day he retires. MJF, I feel like he'll be in WWE, and the Elite will probably go back to the Indies, honestly.
Yeah, and Hangman is in a prime position. Yeah. So, no, I think a lot of the originals are still doing pretty well.
Yeah. I got to shout him out because he just came in with a $300 bomb all the way from Brisbane, Australia. Havili. What's up, JD and Solomonster? Shout out from Brisbane, Australia. It is Wednesday, the 9th of July, 2025. Now, we love Havili, don't we?
Absolutely. Havili is awesome.
Thank you, brother. Hopefully you are well. Furious Nation with a $4.99. What's up, JD and Soul? Despite not much build, do you think Evolution 25 will be better than Evolution 2018? I thought the 2018 version wasn't that good. I do think that Sunday show will be better than the original, yes.
It's a stronger card.
Yeah.
On the whole, it's a stronger card. Although, if we have a match better than the Charlotte and Becky Last Woman Standing, then that would be impressive, because I thought that was an excellent match.
It was. Also, Furious with 2 more 5s. I've seen Bronson Reed's recent tweet about not signing autographs at airports, and he isn't wrong. There's a reason they have meet and greets and Fanatics Fest. Yeah, those people are weird. I mean, if you see Bronson Reed sitting in the airport and you want to go shake his hand and thank him for what he's done and the work that he does, that's fine. But, you know, you're just a weirdo if you come up with boxes of Funkos and figures for him to sign only for them to be sold on eBay. I think it's just weird. And he also says, JD, I tried super chatting last night and hope I'm not being a pain at all. But last Saturday, one of my best friends sadly committed suicide. I am terribly sorry to hear that, Furious Nation. My thoughts and prayers are with you. I genuinely, from me to you, don't know how to respond to something like that, man. And I hope that Jason and I have taken the situation tonight for at least a couple hours and made you just kind of escape in this pro wrestling thing, man. I'm very sorry to hear that, brother. That's terrible. Andrew Cool with a $1.99. People offended that Superman is an immigrant. LOL. Yeah, I seen that, but listen, people are going to complain about anything and everything, bro, right?
Yeah, they'll get over themselves.
Yes. Joker's voice with the 9 months. Hail Solo, hail JD, OTS family. Spielberg, as a member of the Producers Guild by rights, gets executive producer credit, involved or not. Oh, okay. I did not know that. Well, it was still a good movie. If anybody wants to go see it, I would recommend an afternoon to go watch some dinosaurs. Furious Nation with a 199. Mercedes Moné does have creative control. Listen, I'm tired of the argument. Nobody's going to tell me what I've personally had to deal with, okay? So that's that. I'm not talking about the topic anymore. Boss Mo Jackson with a 199. Austin Beer Truck or Kurt Angle Milk Truck? Austin Beer Truck.
Beer truck.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, the milk truck was a copy of the beer truck angle. So
Yes. Michelle with a 5. Does it feel like Cross and Sammy will eventually join forces, maybe go against Seth? And if not, Gunther, who does Punk feud with next? I don't think that Sammy and Cross join forces. I don't know how Jason feels about that, but I think some sort of stipulation match at SummerSlam is on the horizon.
Yeah, I don't see them joining forces. As far as what's next for Punk, it seemed, if not Gunther, it would seem to be Rollins.
Arcade the Hedgehog with a 5. Hey, JD Solo, what was your favorite story in the Attitude and Ruthless days? Do you wish you could be used today that can help WWE? So what was your favorite story in the Attitude and Ruthless days that you wish could be used today to help WWE?
I don't know that I would be reusing any stories. I would try to come up with something a little more original. I mean, obviously, the story that really was, I found the most entertaining and really helped kind of explode their business was Austin McMahon. Right? Yeah. The boss and the, well, technically not employee, but yeah, the boss and the employee, and McMahon throwing every obstacle he could possibly think of at Austin because he just wasn't his vision of what he thought a champion should be. And it was very entertaining every time Austin got his hands on him.
Listen, you know, I got a soft spot for the Mickey and Trish thing, you know, where she's like the psychotic fan. And
yeah, but that was 2006, so that wasn't Attitude or Ruthless Aggression.
I don't. I'm struggling to think of something in the Attitude era. Well, you can't have another McMahon Austin because that's never going to happen again.
No.
What else was there? I mean, anything that happened then, if it happened on TV now, I'm sure people would be calling for cancellation. So it's like, choose wisely. Furious Nation with a 499. I'm also with you, JD and Solo, regarding bugs. I hate all bugs, even roaches, rats, mice, snakes, same thing. Yeah, not a fan of any of those. Roaches, no. Snakes, forget about it. No, thank you. Boss Top with a 199. Should Theory leave WWE and pull a Drew Cody? That might be the best thing for him. He would kill it on the indies, honestly. Also, Boss Mo Jackson with the 199. In my opinion, Bret Hart, greatest wrestler ever. Your thoughts? He's certainly one of mine. I know he's.
You get no argument out of me. In ring wise, I mean, he's my favorite. As far as like the sort of total package of what you would look for in a pro wrestler, especially from the entertainment aspect, I mean, Savage kind of checked all those boxes, right? He was a great wrestler, but just very colorful attire, colorful personality, entertaining promos, very intense.
Yeah.
So you can't go wrong with either one of those guys.
Here we go. Sidro with a 5. Realized why trees don't have teeth. Seems they're all bark and no bite. And Solo drinks his beverage from his sound-off mug. Got over my addiction to chocolate, marshmallows, and nuts. It was a rocky road.
I'm glad you made it out on the other side.
Sidro with it too. What kind of underwear do trees wear? Trunks. Interesting, Sidro. Thank you, brother. Boss Mo Jackson with a 199. What do male bees call their wives? Honey.
Of course.
His reaction is better than the joke. Hardcore Kevin with a 5. Hey, JD Solo. Thanks for the stream. I was thinking for this year's Halloween, you guys should dress as bananas while doing the show.
Bananas? Is there any particular reason why we should be dressed up as bananas?
Because we're crazy, bro. We're crazy.
I'm just wondering why bananas.
I don't know.
Kind of strange.
I may buy this guy a Grande Americano mask. I'll wear my Penta mask on Halloween.
Somebody the other night suggested that I wear a bald cap, a goatee, and I thought they were like, I thought they were suggesting like Steve Austin, but they were suggesting Walter White as a Halloween costume.
I thought you were going completely somewhere else with that one, but
yeah, that's what I thought. But yeah, I don't know about that one.
Sidro with a 10. Why did the electric chair, sorry, hold on, let me read this again. Why did the electric car feel discriminated?
Electric chair? What are you thinking about here?
I don't know, man. All these
Battle Royals, electric chairs.
All the Epstein files things really getting me on social media.
Oh, my God.
Why did the electric car feel discriminated against? Because the rules weren't current. Like, they're getting worse. They're getting worse, Sidra, honestly. He also says, my girlfriend said, if I make one more lettuce pun, she's going to leave me. I asked her to please...
Spit it out.
I asked her to please remain calm. Oh my God. Oh man, that was one of the best ones you got in weeks, bro. That was please remain calm. Oh man. Furious Nation with a 999 also. I don't hate Triple H, but he's a worse booker than worse booker than Vince? Why are we comparing the two, bro? Really? Have you guys watched 2018, 2019 Raw?
Well, I mean, this is the thing. Like, people are comparing him to Vince. You have to specify. Vince did this over a very long period of time. Are we talking about Vince like over a period of 30 or 40 years, or are we talking about Vince in the last like 10 years? Because the answer might be very different.
You guys are crazy, man. No, he's not. No, I'm not. The shows are a lot better than what they are. They're just not exciting right now. Let's leave it at that. No, too many shows lately. Yes, but once closer to or after SummerSlam, things should start hopefully breathing again. Yeah, you would hope. I mean, by the time we get done with this weekend, we only have 3 weeks to SummerSlam, and we only have 2 matches announced. And the only reason why those 2 matches are announced is because we got tournaments that ended. I don't really see anything else announced. Another 3 weeks to another fucking 2-night pay-per-view, so we'll see. Sidro, $5 super chat. What's the best way to flirt with a math teacher? You use a cute angle. No? Okay. Maybe I'm just being obtuse. I think that sums it up. All the math puns there. Thank you, thank you, Sidro. Furious Nation with a $10 super chat. Also, JD, I can't believe it's been almost 9 years since watching OTS and have been a big fan and supporter ever since. You truly inspired me. Also, appreciate everything you do. Thank you. Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Those are the best comments, man. Worth more than any super chat. I appreciate you. Wrestling with respect with a $4.99. Popular drink at Hogan's new bar. The Jack and Coke.
It's pretty good.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, that's listen. If we go and we do a trip to the bar, we're vlogging it. Okay.
Something's definitely going on with him because I don't know if you've been following this Bubba the Love Sponge stuff.
I have not followed it since you mentioned it last week.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's been providing these periodic updates, and we still haven't heard anything new from Hogan directly. Like, someone is posting on his social media, but for all these rumors going around, like, you would think there'd be a video posted to shut people up, or like, there's been nothing. So, whatever it is, there's definitely smoke to the fire. There's definitely something going on with him.
Yeah, that's pretty sad. I mean, I don't know. Hopefully everything's all right there. Dove's Vids with a $4.99. What do you call a factory that makes okay products? A satisfactory. No? Okay.
Not a fan.
Sidro with a 20. I once swallowed a book of synonyms. It's given me the sorest throat I've ever had.
Ooh, that was pretty awful. It's pretty bad.
Oh, man, he's not done. Girl says, have you heard tattoos all over your shoulders? All right, wait a minute. Why am I?
That makes no sense.
No, I misread her. I'm fucking
Rewind
fried.
that.
Girl says, heard you have tattoos all over your shoulders. Me, yes. When people are sad, I let them color them in. People just need a shoulder to crayon. Sidro, man. I'm sorry. Come on, man. You're not going to get better than Romaine, bro. Okay? Boss Mo Jax with a 199 Solo or Jesse. Who do you like better? Who do I like better? What type of question is that, man? How am I supposed to answer that question? They both bring what they bring to the table and do their jobs great. Okay? There's the middle of the road answer. Solo. Hopefully Jesse ain't listening. Boss Top with a $4.99. How influential do you think Vince was in creative during 22 and 23? I feel like flaws in Triple H's booking became more noticeable in 24 without him. Vince was, I don't know, when did Triple H firmly take over? I believe it was
August of 22.
No,
Vince...
no. Vince was still had an influence, I think, into January that year.
Well, I mean, okay, so you mean when he officially took over the book
Yes.
on his own?
Yes.
Probably the summer of 23, I think.
I want to say it was like around October-ish, November of that year. Right around Survivor Series, I think. Heading into the Rumble.
I thought it was a little bit earlier, but it was 23 for sure. Maybe 23 heading into 24.
Yeah. Vince at some point still had his hands in the cookie jar.
Well,
sure.
he was still fighting, literally just trying to, sneak back
overthrow the
in.
board of directors. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was putting his little evil plans together to try to make his way back in. So
Yeah.
there was still definitely some Vince influence going on there.
I mean, whatever that Raw was after Mania, that was fucking absolutely horrendous. Vince was a part of that. Whatever year that was, that he was still very much a part of the
that probably was 23.
Yeah, he was definitely a part. I think that winter is when Triple H took over. Yeah. Duffs with a 199. When is a door not a door? When it's ajar. Solo was not pleased, Duffs. Duffs also with a 499. Someone stole my limbo stick out of my garage. How low can you go?
I knew it was coming. Like, I knew before you said it. I knew. I just knew it was coming.
Oh, man. Boss Mo Jackson with a 499. Why did the Warrior get fired from a pet shop? Because he didn't sell pedigree. And how does Big Show order his steak? I think we've heard this one before. Well.
Yes.
Sidro with a $2 super chat. What's the Turtles' favorite kind of music? Slow jams. No. Okay. That's it, Sidro. You still got Romaine, bro. That's what you got this stream. Boss Mo Jax with a 199. What do you call a duck with lots of money? Rich Swan. They got him a little bit. Shout out to Rich Swan, man. Really, he's a great dude, man. Tone C with a $5 super chat. I just got home from my first Tigers game of the season. I had fun. We are on fire. Yeah, look, listen. Yeah,
at least somebody is.
Good for them. Yeah, at least somebody is. Ryan Awesome with a $4.99. 50 Cent turned 50 the other day. Now his name finally makes sense. You got it?
Yes, I get it.
CENTS.
Yes, I get it. I get it.
Duff's Viz with a 499. Why do bees stay in their hives during winter? Swarm.
These are sort of like right on the periphery where it like almost gets me, but then I pull back.
Yeah. Thomas Nestor in the chat. We did talk about Jelly Roll, bro. Don Fanucci with a $5 super chat. Shout out to the Solid Monster for the TV show recommendation. Wise guy. I'm liking the show being Sicilian and all. You guys rock. TNT for life. Thank you, Don.
Yeah, I mean, that show was... I had no idea that show even existed. It was from that late 80s period where you had the A-Team and Hunter and stuff like that. It was made by the same guy. And it was almost... It reminded me in a way of like The Sopranos before The Sopranos. Except it aired on network TV. So it was very... cool to find that. It's on Peacock. It was 4 seasons, I think.
Oh, okay.
So it's called Wise Guy. Actually, the guy who was the lead star for 3 of the 4 seasons, he didn't do anything else after that. He got hurt really badly. I think he fell. It was like a really bad spinal injury, and he was like one of those up and coming kind of young heartthrob type stars, but he never did anything else after that.
Duff's Viz with a 499. What do you call a teacher who never farts in public? A private tutor.
I'm missing something.
That's a private tutor.
Yeah, I get it now. That's awful.
That's... Edward with a 499. Discovered this show through a friend after the Rumble. Lost him to suicide last week. He loved you guys. Now I do too. Thank you for doing what you do. Edward, I'm sorry to hear that, brother.
I'm very sorry. Yes, that was... it's funny. That's the second time we've heard something like that tonight. Yeah. But I've heard a fair number of stories like that, I feel like, in recent times, and it's just awful that people feel that that's the only resort. I think it's just very sad because it has an impact on so many different people when that happens, like friends, family. I don't know if you fully grasp the impact it has on so many different people when something like that happens. So I'm very sorry to hear that.
Thank you, Edward. Thank you for being here, brother. Prayer emojis in the chat. You guys are well ahead of me. Thank you, man. Cue the content guy with a $9.99. It sucks that Evolution could possibly fail that weekend. There's a Beyonce concert, All-Star Weekend. Get it together, WWE. Also, the sponsorships all over the ring is annoying. I've gotten used to it. Do I like it? No, but I'm not gonna make a weekly complaint out of it.
Yeah, WWE is in Atlanta this whole weekend. Atlanta is where the All-Star activities are taking place, right?
Yeah.
Now, are they playing the game at Truist Park?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the reason why Acuna got voted into the All-Star game, and he's in the Home Run Derby.
That's right.
Sidro with a 5. How much do pirates pay to get their ears pierced? A buccaneer. And what did Rick Moranis say to wife after he pranked therapist? Honey, I kidded the shrink.
Oh. Oh. So bad. So bad.
Sidra, man. You're living and dying off this Romaine joke earlier, man. Major with a 199. What are some things Vince did better than Triple H? You're really going to have me and Jason answer this question?
Boy, we have Vince McMahon in the chat tonight. Right? He's trying to get an answer out of us. This guy's got nothing better to do.
I don't know, man. Nor do I care to answer the question.
Vince was all about those gimmicks. So when it came to a very silly or over the top type of character, I feel like that's where he thrived. Like the wackier it was, the more into it he was. He was into more of the sort of entertainment aspect of it, whereas Triple H, and I think part of this also comes from his time like during Black and Gold and NXT, he took on a more, for lack of a better word, sort of a reality-based wrestling approach, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Ali with a 2. JD, imagine Summer Rae is in the Battle Royal. I wouldn't be surprised.
She could be.
Would not be
Tori Wilson or I don't know. I mean,
Victoria. Alicia Fox. We could see them. Major with a 4.99. In my opinion, Vince created more hated heels than Triple H, which made stories feel more emotional. Meanwhile, Triple H relies on the cool heel that everyone cheers. That is a little bit more apparent nowadays. Yes. Hollywood guy with a 5. Could you guys see maybe a Dakota Kai or Shayna or maybe Mickie James showing face in the Rumble? In the Rumble?
In the Rumble?
We're several months off from that, brother. Shayna's not coming back. Mickie James, I could see. Dakota Kai is going to end up in AEW.
Mickey's already been in the Rumble, so yeah, it's possible. I could see Mickie in the Battle Royal on Sunday.
Yeah. Sidro with a 5. I think Kyrie needs to tag with Asuka so she can get some charisma off Asuka and keep them hot. So they should win the tag team titles. Kyrie is terrible alone. Listen, to be fair, it was a little rough in the return, but I thought last night Rhode Island was into everything, but they were into Kyrie last night, so a little bit. Give her some TV time and a solid story. I think people will get behind her. Duffs with a 4.99. What do you call a friend you like to eat with? A taste bud. All right. Lavelle with a 5. Which scenario will be more shocking if it happened this weekend? Hangman over Mox? Tony over Mercedes? Goldberg over Gunther? AJ Lee and Paige return at Evolution. Yeah, we didn't mention Paige. I do think we see a Saraya return at Evolution. AJ's not coming back at Evolution. I mean, that's just not happening. Out of the other 3, what would be more shocking? I would say Goldberg over Gunther. Yeah. Goldberg over Gunther. Bossmo Jackson, the 199. Bret that man Hart or Kurt Angle? Hitman. Hitman, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Kurt's awesome. Kurt's he's right there, but I can't bet against Bret.
Lauren with 38 months and a $2 super chat. TNT is the place to be. I'm expecting AP double turn at SummerSlam with Cody and Cena. Could Orton turn heel or help Cena retain? Glad Goldberg is gone. Cody's not turning heel. I think Cena does end up as a babyface though at the end of SummerSlam. And WWE plan to have Charlotte and Alexa versus or as a team. Why? Because it's better than having Charlotte in the world title picture.
Yeah, I don't have any issue with it at all. I actually think it's the best thing for Charlotte to be doing right now.
Likewise.
If there is another dimension to her character to be found, we should get a chance to see it here.
Yes.
I made the comment the other day, like, it's a different side of Charlotte maybe that we'll get to see, like, because she's so one-dimensional on television, and somebody in the chat was like, it's the only dimension she has. So we'll see, though. We'll see, because she's always the queen, right? And she's always involved in the championship chase. Now she's doing something different. So let's give it a chance to work. It's potentially the most interesting thing that she's done since she's come back.
Yeah, she has felt a lot less nauseating teaming with Alexa. I don't really mind it. Jackie Boy with a 20. I have an outlandish idea. Let Seth win the World Heavyweight Championship without cashing in yet. Sammy wins the Rumble, beats Seth for the World Heavyweight Championship. Seth attacks Sammy mid-celebration, then cashes in and wins the title again. Then we do a rematch at SummerSlam. Well, you're booking this angle all the way to next year's SummerSlam, bro.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Come on, man.
It's an outside the box idea, but it's not happening.
Thank you, Jackie Boy, for the 20. Lauren with the 2. Feel for Orton hasn't had a good storyline since 22. Oh, it's coming. Give it time. Him and Cody's gonna be what hopefully SmackDown needs for 2 hours. Tucky Neutron with a 199. What animal has the largest chest? a zebra. Tucky. No moss there, brother. Jackie Boy with 8-5. I don't expect idea to work, but it's something new, and WWE needs to try something to surprise us because, let's be honest, it's a snooze fest. Well, you, like Jason said, man, that's a very out-of-the-box idea. Sarit Mohanty, thank you, brother. Coming in here, says with his super chat, do you see Seth's faction versus Roman, Punk, Penta, Sammy, LA Knight for War Games this year? Also, do women deserve a War Games this year without any feud all year? Why not traditional Survivor Series? Well, this is a discussion that we tend to have every time it's raised. I could see Seth's faction leading to a War Games match with everybody you mentioned. I don't think the women need a War Games this year. It would be very forced. I hate the War Games concept when it's just random names thrown in there for the sake of the match happening. And I know Jason feels the same way. A traditional Survivor Series match this year will go a long way.
It's too early to say that there shouldn't be a women's War Games match. It's July.
Yeah.
So I would say let's wait and see. I mean, they're obviously going to do one for each. Yeah, they're going to do a men's War Games and a women's War Games this year. But you want there to be a story to support it. You want there to be some reason for it to be happening. But we have to wait and see. It's too early to say that, oh, well, you know, they have no story for the men or they have no story for the women. We'll wait until we get a little bit closer. But I just hate the fact that they have completely eliminated all of the traditional Survivor Series matches. I don't see any reason why you can't do one each year.
I'd love if they do one, yeah.
Well, yeah, just for the sake of maintaining that tradition. But also, I'm a believer that if there is a year where there really is no need for War Games, then you don't do it. Part of the issue also is that we already have advertising out for it now, and it's got the War Games branding in it. So when they put their promotional materials and their marketing materials together for it, that stuff has to be done months in advance. So they're just going out and saying, yeah, we're going to do War Games this year. By the time we get to War Games, there may not really be a need for one, but they've already promoted it for the last 6 months.
Yeah, it's just the same. It's the same feeling every year. It's just like, whatever, man. Yeah, I think it could use a break for sure. Sarit Mohanty with a 27 months. Why is a mid JC Jane who has been on NXT forever part of Evolution, but not Mariah May? It's a very bad look to leave a talent like her out of Evolution.
Well, she may be in the Battle Royal.
She could be in the Battle Royal. We'll see on Sunday.
Likely not winning if the title match takes place in Paris, but you can't rule out the possibility. Maybe they would have an NXT Women's Championship match on that show.
Base Beerus with a 5. Is Kalisto the most decorated luchador in WWE after Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero? He won the United States title 3 times.
No. I actually think that Penta has already moved into that category.
I agree. PD Shaw with 52 months. Hey all, it's been a bit, but I'm back. Greatness knows greatness. Thank you, PD. 52 months is a long fucking time, bro. Thank you. Base Beerus with a 2. Buy, sell, Kenzo Suzuki or Mike Knox.
God. There's sell on both. I'm not spending a dime on either one.
Sidro with a 5. Could never be a plumber. Too hard watching your life's work go down the drain. And girlfriend and I watched 3 movies back to back. Luckily, I was the one facing the TV. Solid Monster's not amused, Sidro. Base Beerus with a 2. Blue Eyes, White Dragon. What does that mean? Blue Eyes, White Dragon.
Some sort of code.
I don't know what that means, man. Jay Everington with a 5. What wrestling babyface, past or present, would make the best comic book superhero?
Sid.
That's a good one.
Just looks like a comic book superhero.
I'm going to go Aldo Montoya.
That's a pretty shitty comic book, though. I ain't buying that comic.
How about Max Moon?
Keep going. You keep digging the hole deeper.
I give up.
I have a feeling my comic book is going to make a lot more money than yours.
Base Beers with the $2 super chat. Remember when Jericho kidnapped China?
I do. I believe he hit her hand with a hammer. Tied her down to a chair and was taking a hammer to her hand. I think he wanted a title shot or a rematch, whatever it was.
Gabe Owners with a $1.99. Taco Tuesday. Nope, it's Titan Tuesday. Thank you, Gabe. Appreciate you, brother. Big Haas.
Of all the things, all the jokes, it's the fucking name that breaks me.
Big Haas with a $5 super chat. I talked to 2 riders in WWE. Heard 2 new members will join Seth's group. Then they'll get a name. Ibu also confirmed that. Also, Penta for world champion. Big Haas, you talked to 2 riders in WWE. Why are they giving you information like this, bro? Who are you? And we listen. Ibu's great, but he said today that Road Dogg has him blocked, and the writing team or some on the writing team don't really like him too much. So I don't know. Street Fighter with a $10 super chat. What do you call a boxer who lives in the Bering Sea? A straight fighter. You tried to get him off the reason why he left last week, bro. It didn't work this week. Jay Everington, 105. Favorite metal hard rock guitarist. Always been a big fan of Tom Morello. What you still laughing at gay boners?
I'm looking at Naft in the chat. Solo turning broad breaker shades. Oh man.
My favorite metal hard rock guitarists. I'm not a big fan of Tom Morello, bro. I think Rage Against the Machine is one of those bands I can never get into. My 2 favorites, Mark Tremonti and Michael Romeo from Symphony X, and obviously no Tremonti from Alter Bridge. So, and Creed. Can't leave out Creed because they're the more popular of the 2 bands. I don't know, man. You have a favorite guitarist?
No, I wouldn't say I have a favorite guitarist. No, not really. Not one that stands out above the rest or anything like that.
All right. Jay Everington, thank you, brother. B Money with a $4.99. Big fan of the show. Which reign of terror as world champion has been worse to you? John Moxley as AEW champ or Triple H as world champion in the 2000s?
Triple H.
Yeah, I'd probably go that as well. I mean, Moxley's been bad, but I gotta go Triple H. BW Rose. Yeah.
Well, there's a difference between having like a bad, like dull title run, which is what Moxley's has been for me, and then a run like Triple H's where people were actively being buried. Like,
yeah,
I mean, the graveyard was littered during that run. Like, it was so damaging. It was bad, and to me, bad and not entertaining, and it was damaging to people on the roster.
Yeah. BW Roses with a 2 and a 2. Hear that Rollins and Lynch's home got broken into. Yeah, I read that today from TMZ. That's a pretty shitty situation there, but thankfully nobody was home. BW Roses with a 2. He also says hog booking Win Trust in Chicago. Bigger, you say? Yeah, they put out something.
I don't know about Win Trust, but yeah, we're gonna need a bigger venue.
Yes, the auditorium that we've been running in is definitely too small.
Well, you know, for our next show, we got some plans. We're gonna need a bigger venue, so we'll leave it at that.
Joey D with a 5. Chuck Norris has already been to Mars. That's why there's no signs of life.
That's why at night the boogeyman checks his closet for Chuck Norris.
Indeed. Mm-hmm. Chris with a 199. How does a cat like his steak cooked? Rare.
I can't believe you actually did the voice.
I have to do it because it doesn't make sense otherwise. John with a 10. Yo, JD, you get to go to the first WWE versus AEW event front row. The catch for the next 5 years, every car you ride has no air conditioner. Your windows don't roll down except your windshield does. You down? No. Absolutely not.
Who would say yes to that?
I don't know. Bro, the first thing I do when I get in the fucking car is pre-started and the air conditioner's already running, bro. Give me a break. Come on. Captain... What is this? Oh, my God. Captain Holden...
Holding my nuts? Is that who it is? Is that who it is?
Captain Holden... It's one of those names.
You'll have to try to get it out.
It's Captain Holden Two Dicks.
I thought it was holding my nuts because he pops up on my channel occasionally.
Captain Holden Two Dicks. Two Dicks is spelled Tudicts. Someone killed themselves down the drain. Suicide, he says. Well, thank you, Captain. Appreciate that, bro. I don't know what that means, but thank you. Joey D with a 2. FYI, Chat GPT asks Chuck Norris questions. Okay. Alex with a 10. Brother JD and Solo, were you guys a fan of Goldberg's original WWE run from 03 to 04?
No.
What were your thoughts on his match with The Rock from Backlash 03 and his feud with Triple H?
The match with The Rock, from what I probably haven't watched it since the first time I did. I was okay. The feud with Triple H, I thought sucked.
Not a fan of anything he did at all.
No. I mean, the closest to WCW Goldberg that we got during that run was in the Elimination Chamber at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
And then Triple H hit him in the head with the fucking sledgehammer and pinned him.
Ali, $5 super chat. What do you call cheese that isn't yours? Nacho cheese.
Okay. That's not bad.
All right, Ali. Better than some Isidro's. Duff's Vids with a $4.99. Somebody stole the 5th month out of my calendar. I am dismayed.
Okay. All right.
Base Beers with a 2. World champ holding money in the bank is interesting. Yeah, it is. I don't think that's ever been done, huh?
No.
Okay. Brian Owens with 28 months. You see Cena retiring as champion in the next year's Royal Rumble. They give Saudi a Rumble that crowns a new WWE champion. I hope not.
No.
Queen Laquifa. What the dude does in the chat. This Queen says, I joining the women battle royal on Evolution. Okay. We'll see you there.
All right, well, I may have to change my pick. I'm going with Queen Laquifa to win the Battle Royal.
Queen Laquifa. Base Beers with the $2 super chat. Lesnar SS Press at Mania.
Shooting Star Press.
Star Press. Okay. At Mania is a big what if moment.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been the finish. So the plan was not for him to pick Kurt up for another F5. It was to end the match on like, holy shit, I can't believe this guy just did a shooting star press and then he almost broke his neck. So the fact that he finished the match is just amazing to me.
And Sidro will end with this with a $5 super chat. Don't follow any links you get from McDonald's. Might be filet-o fishing. And never fall in love with a tennis player. At Wimbledon, love means nothing to them. Sidro, you still got Romaine, bro. You got the joke of the night. That's it.
You peaked with the beginning there.
Yeah. And that's all we got for you. Thank you for a great episode 102. We appreciate you guys very much. I know it's been a slow week, but hopefully we got you ready for the big wrestling weekend ahead of us. I'm going to leave it to this guy to sound us off as usual to get us out of here for another great episode of TNT.
Well, as someone who will be in Texas on Friday, I just want to say that my thoughts are with the folks down in Texas affected by the floods. I'm sure you've been following this story on the news and everything that's been going on. I know the death toll keeps going up and it's a bunch of people missing. And I don't know if you saw, because there's video on social media from one of these places of how, like, time-lapse video of how quickly the water rushed in. Like, it's scary, very scary. Yeah. So I don't know if anybody watching us right now is directly affected by it, but maybe you know someone who is. But keep them in your thoughts because there's a lot of bad stuff going on down there right now.
Absolutely. Thank you guys very much for a great stream. Thoughts and prayers out to those who have reached out tonight via the super chats. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here. And it's going to be a busy weekend. Jason's going to be all over the place. He's going to be in Texas on Friday. He'll be back on Saturday covering All In. And then we will be back with you here on Tuesday next week for another great episode of TNT. Thank you guys again. Follow us on social media at JD from NY206 at Solomon. So everything you need is linked down in the description. And please leave a comment down below. It helps us out tremendously. We're 20 likes away from 1,000. You guys are great. And we'll see you next week right here on Tuesday Night Titans.